962. 2 p.m. Kentucky faces Georgia on Sirius 106, XM 190 and Internet 960. 2 p.m. Miami faces Florida State on Sirius 111, XM 194 and Internet 956. 2 p.m. Missouri faces Oklahoma on Sirius XM and Internet channels 81. 2 p.m. North Carolina faces NC State. North Carolina on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. NC State on Sirius XM and Internet channels 83. 2 p.m. Pitt faces Virginia on Internet 984. 3 p.m. Minnesota faces Oregon on Internet 985. 3 p.m. Texas takes on LSU. Texas on Sirius XM and Internet channels 84. LSU on Sirius 113 XM 191 and Internet 961. 4 p.m. Auburn faces Vanderbilt. Auburn on Sirius XM and Internet channels 81. Vanderbilt on Sirius 106 XM 190 and Internet 960. 4 p.m. SMU faces Clemson on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. 5 p.m. Illinois faces Nebraska on XM 391 Internet 981. 6 p.m., Cal faces Syracuse on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. 7 p.m., Washington takes on USC on Sirius XM and Internet channels 84. 9 p.m., UCLA takes on Michigan State. UCLA on Sirius 113 XM 195 and Internet 957. Michigan State on Sirius XM and Internet channels 84. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM sports schedule for Sunday, February the 16th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the EPL, 9 a.m., Liverpool takes on Wolverhampton. The Liverpool feed on Internet 1955. Wolverhampton on Internet 1995. National feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157.
Mad Dog Sports Radio has the best sports talk in the business, covering sports with a passion and knowledge you need. Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM 86, and the SXM app.
I'm Mick Kern with It Happened in Baseball, September 18th, 2006. On this Monday evening at Dodger Stadium, over 55,000 people showed up to watch the home side clash with the San Diego Padres. The two teams were separated by only a half game in the National League West standings, with the Padres sitting in first. They rode out to a 4-1 lead after one inning, LA tying it up after 3. But heading into the bottom of the ninth, the Dodgers were trailing by 4 runs and were facing John Atkins on the mound. Jeff Kent led things off with a home run against the right-hander. J.D. Drew followed suit with his own solo shot. That was more than enough for Padres manager Bruce Bochy, who went to the bullpen for closer Trevor Hoffman. Well, that made absolutely no difference in matters, as first Russ Martin and then Marlon Anderson both crushed balls for solo shots, tying the game at 9 runs apiece. The Dodgers ended up winning this one 11-10 thanks to a 2-run Nomar Garciaparra home run in the 10th, and they moved into first place in the West. LA and San Diego would both end up tied for the division lead at the end of the season, with both teams compiling 88 wins. The Padres were awarded the division title due to winning the season series. Both teams, though, bowed out in the first round of the playoffs. But on this day, the Dodgers ruled the roost thanks to those 4 straight home runs, which tied a Major League record. The 4th time it had been accomplished. The Twins turned the trick in 1964, as did the 63 Indians and the 61 Braves. Recently, the Red Sox, White Sox, and Arizona Diamondbacks have all joined that club. For It Happened in Baseball, I'm Mick Kern.
MLB Network Radio is your home for 24/7 baseball talk, featuring on-site coverage of every major event from spring training through the World Series and expert analysis from former general managers and players. SiriusXM Channel 89.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM sports schedule for Sunday, February the 16th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the EPL, 9 a.m., Liverpool takes on Wolverhampton. The Liverpool feed on Internet 1955. Wolverhampton on Internet 1995. National feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157. 11:30 a.m., Tottenham takes on Manchester United. Tottenham feed on Internet 1985. Manchester United on Internet 1965. National feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157. In NASCAR, starting at 1:30 p.m., catch full coverage of the Daytona 500 on SiriusXM and Internet channels 90. In Serie A, 2:45 p.m., Juventus takes on Inter Milan on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157. On the PGA Tour, at 1 p.m., catch full coverage of the Genesis Invitational on SiriusXM and Internet channels 92. In NCAA College Men's Basketball, noon, Wichita State faces Memphis on SiriusXM and Internet channels 83. 1 p.m., Ohio State faces Michigan. Ohio State on XM and Internet 372. Michigan on XM 391, Internet 981. National feed on Internet 983. 3 p.m., Northwestern faces Nebraska. Northwestern on XM and Internet 372. Nebraska on XM 390, Internet 980. 3 p.m., St. John's faces Crichton on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 85. 4 p.m., New Mexico takes on Utah State. New Mexico on Internet 985. Utah State on Internet 984. 5 p.m., Maryland faces Iowa. Maryland feed on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 84. Iowa on XM 392 Internet 982. 7 p.m., Oregon faces Rutgers. Oregon feed on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 85. Rutgers on XM 390 Internet 980. 8 p.m., Notre Dame faces Louisville. Notre Dame on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. Louisville on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 83. In NCAA College Women's Basketball, noon, Georgia Tech faces Wake Forest on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. Noon, Tennessee takes on Ole Miss on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 81. 1 p.m., Penn State faces Wisconsin on XM 390 Internet 980. 1 p.m., South Carolina faces UConn. South Carolina on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 84. UConn on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 85. 2 p.m., Florida faces Mississippi State on Sirius 132 XM 192 and Internet 962. 2 p.m., Kentucky faces Georgia on Sirius 106 XM 190 and Internet 960. 2 p.m., Miami faces Florida State on Sirius 111 XM 194 and Internet 956. 2 p.m., Missouri faces Oklahoma on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 81. 2 p.m., North Carolina faces NC State. North Carolina on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. NC State on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 83. 2 p.m., Pitt faces Virginia on Internet 984. 3 p.m., Minnesota faces Oregon on Internet 985. 3 p.m., Texas takes on LSU. Texas on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 84. LSU on Sirius 113 XM 191 and Internet 961. 4 p.m. Auburn faces Vanderbilt. Auburn on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 81. Vanderbilt on Sirius 106 XM 190 and Internet 960. 4 p.m. SMU faces Clemson on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. 5 p.m. Illinois faces Nebraska on XM 391 Internet 981. 6 p.m., Cal faces Syracuse on Sirius 119 XM 193 and Internet 955. 7 p.m., Washington takes on USC on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 84. 9 p.m., UCLA takes on Michigan State. UCLA on Sirius 113 XM 195 and Internet 957. Michigan State on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 84. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM sports schedule for Sunday, February the 16th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the EPL, 9 a.m., Liverpool takes on Wolverhampton. The Liverpool feed on Internet 1955. Wolverhampton on Internet 1995. National feed on SiriusXM and Internet Channels 157.
On the court and off, your home for the NBA is SiriusXM. Follow all the drama as your favorite team vies for it all. SiriusXM NBA Radio. SiriusXM 86.
For Sirius XM Sports, I'm Ryan Payton. The 1941-42 campaign did not start out with any huge dramatics for the Maple Leafs. They were coming off their second-best season in team history, but they lost to Boston in the semifinals that year. With the war going on in Europe as well, some of the Leafs were in the armed forces. GM Conn Smythe, he was also not present at all until late in the season because of his involvement in World War II. A solid season for Toronto placed them in their division, 3 points up on the Rangers. Toronto beat New York in round one, setting up what would be an historic Stanley Cup Finals with Detroit. The young Red Wings team jumped on top of Toronto early in the series, shocking them, winning both games 2-1 and then 4-2. Heading back to Detroit, Toronto took an early 2-0 lead in Game 3, but they fell and they trailed 3-0. Game 4 in Detroit saw Toronto come back from 2-0 and 3-2 deficits to win 4-3. Then they ran the Wings out of the building in Game 5, winning 9-3. In Game 6, they shut them out and had set up a Stanley Cup Final Game 7 for the first time in history. And Toronto would complete the comeback with a 3-1 win. That team is the only team in North American sports history to win its championship after going down 3-0 in the finals. Truly one of the greatest comebacks ever, and what a moment, not just for Toronto, but the game of hockey in general. The 1941-1942 Maple Leafs, greatest comeback in NHL history. For SiriusXM Sports, I'm Ryan Payton.
SiriusXM NFL Radio Channel 88 brings you expert analysis from former players, coaches, and executives, plus reaction to all the latest news on the only 24/7 station dedicated to the National Football League.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM sports schedule for Sunday, February the 16th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, All games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the EPL, 9 a.m., Liverpool takes on Wolverhampton. The Liverpool feed on Internet 1955, Wolverhampton on Internet 1995, national feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157. 11:30 a.m., Tottenham takes on Manchester United. Tottenham feed on Internet 1985, Manchester United on Internet 1965, national feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157. In NASCAR, starting at 1:30 p.m., catch full coverage of the Daytona 500 on SiriusXM and Internet channels 90. In Serie A, 2:45 p.m., Juventus takes on Inter Milan on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157. On the PGA Tour, at 1 p.m., catch full coverage of the Genesis Invitational on SiriusXM and Internet channels 92. In NCAA College Men's Basketball, noon, Wichita State faces Memphis on SiriusXM and Internet channels 83. 1 p.m., Ohio State faces Michigan. Ohio State on XM and Internet 372. Michigan on XM 391, Internet 981. National feed on Internet 983. 3 p.m., Northwestern faces Nebraska. Northwestern on XM and Internet 372. Nebraska on XM 390, Internet 980. 3 p.m., St. John's faces Creighton on SiriusXM and Internet channels 85. 4 p.m., New Mexico takes on Utah State. New Mexico on Internet 985. Utah State on Internet 984. 5 p.m., Maryland faces Iowa. Maryland feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 84. Iowa on XM 392, Internet 982. 7 p.m., Oregon faces Rutgers. Oregon feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 85. Rutgers on XM 390, Internet 980. 8 p.m., Notre Dame faces Louisville. Notre Dame on Sirius 119, XM 193, and Internet 955. Louisville on SiriusXM and Internet channels 83. In NCAA College Women's Basketball, noon, Georgia Tech faces Wake Forest on Sirius 119, XM 193, and Internet 955. Noon, Tennessee takes on Ole Miss on SiriusXM and Internet channels 81. 1 p.m., Penn State faces Wisconsin on XM 390, Internet 980. 1 p.m., South Carolina faces UConn. South Carolina on SiriusXM and Internet channels 84. UConn on SiriusXM and Internet channels 85. 2 p.m., Florida faces Mississippi State on Sirius 132, XM 192, and Internet 962. 2 p.m., Kentucky faces Georgia on Sirius 106, XM 190, and Internet 960. 2 p.m., Miami faces Florida State on Sirius 111, XM 194, and Internet 956. 2 p.m., Missouri faces Oklahoma on Sirius XM and Internet channels 81. 2 p.m., North Carolina faces NC State. North Carolina on Sirius 119, XM 193, and Internet 955. NC State on Sirius XM and Internet channels 83. 2 p.m., Pitt faces Virginia on Internet 984. 3 p.m., Minnesota faces Oregon on Internet 985. 3 p.m., Texas takes on LSU. Texas on Sirius XM and Internet channels 84. LSU on Sirius 113, XM 191, and Internet 961. 4 p.m., Auburn faces Vanderbilt. Auburn on Sirius XM and Internet channels 81. Vanderbilt on Sirius 106, XM 190, and Internet 960. 4 p.m., SMU faces Clemson on Sirius 119, XM 193, and Internet 955. 5 p.m., Illinois faces Nebraska on XM 391, Internet 981. 6 p.m., Cal faces Syracuse on Sirius 119, XM 193, and Internet 955. 7 p.m., Washington takes on USC on Sirius XM and Internet channels 84. 9 p.m., UCLA takes on Michigan State. UCLA on Sirius 113, XM 195, and Internet 957. Michigan State on Sirius XM and Internet channels 84. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM sports schedule for Sunday, February the 16th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the EPL, 9 a.m., Liverpool takes on Wolverhampton. The Liverpool feed on Internet 1955. Wolverhampton on Internet 1995. National feed on SiriusXM and Internet channels 157.
Follow every second of the action on NHL Network Radio. From behind the bench to every play on the ice. If it's hockey, it's on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. SiriusXM 91.
I'm Mick Kern with It Happened in Baseball. If you've got your 1975 Topps baseball set just kicking around, pull out card number 407. It's an oddity in the hobby, being the only baseball card ever issued for a pinch runner. Flip over the card, you'll see 92 games played in 1974 for Herb Washington. The native of Mississippi grew up in Flint, Michigan, playing baseball like most kids, but he excelled at sprinting. He broke a number of records during his prime, in particular in the 50 and 60-yard dash, but just missed out on qualifying for the 1972 Munich Summer Olympics. None other than Charlie Finley, the colorful and creative owner of the Oakland A's, who knew a good promotional idea when he saw one, signed Washington to a one-year contract worth $45,000, along with a $20,000 signing bonus. The catch was there would be no catching. nor hitting. Hurricane Herb would be employed solely as the A's pinch runner. That first season, Washington stole 29 bases in 45 attempts. Unfortunately, during Game 2 of the World Series that autumn, he was picked off first base by the Dodgers' Mike Marshall. He was also caught stealing twice in the ALCS against the Baltimore Orioles. Washington got into 13 more games in the 1975 season before being released by the A's. His career line shows 105 games played over 2 seasons, where he stole 31 bases and was caught 17 times. Herb Washington scored 33 runs for the Oakland A's, all without a single plate appearance. For It Happened in Baseball, I'm Mick Kern.
Hear it all on demand. Your favorite shows, your favorite games. Don't miss a second of your favorite SiriusXM programming on demand with the SiriusXM app. Download it now for free.
Akko Kone, Tyler Fredrickson, Chi Obi, Jack Fletcher and Jack Morehouse. Match officials, referee Peter Banks. Assistants, Edward Smart and Nick Greenhaller. Fourth official, Michael Salisbury. VAR, Paul Tierney. And alongside me, another Paul Parker. About to get underway. Spurs kicking from right to left in white and navy. Manchester United in their home strip kicking from left to right in red. And white shorts with black socks. And Paul, what can we expect from this intriguing mid to lower table encounter?
I think, like a lot of people, no one really knows, to be perfectly honest. Both sides have shown no consistency at all this season. You don't know what you're going to get. It could be an incredible game of football. It could be like a game of football with a load of goals, or it could be an exciting 0-0. You just don't know really what you're going to get. You look at the United side, they've got a lot of players who just have shown no consistency. You've got Casemiro, who hasn't played, as you mentioned, in 3 games in 3 months, something like that. And you think you worry about him. How long is he going to be able to last? Because he has not got anything about him. He hasn't got any minutes in the bank at all of Premier League football over the last few weeks. So it's a testing time for him.
Spurs 0, Manchester United 0 inside the first minute at TalkSport Live. If you'd like a shout out, I'll run you through the teams again when we get another break in play. As Tottenham look to move above Manchester United, 27 versus 29 points heading into this one. Matisse Tell starts on loan, of course, from Bayern, but there is an option to buy. And Onana Hazard at the back for Manchester United. Game hasn't really developed a pattern yet. Breezy conditions. Tottenham fans with some banners in the stadium saying Daniel Levy out. They were marching down to the stadium as well in a protest that far exceeded 350 people. So the home faithful are making their voices known. Daniel Levy is, of course, here as well. Onana gives it away in midfield. Bergvall picks it up briefly, slides and keeps it in. And now Bentancur gets his first touch of the game. Bergvall again. Pedro Porro on the right-hand side. And Tottenham building from the back here with a minute and a half gone. Now out to the left-hand side and James Maddison. He's still inside his own half. Up to Jed Spence, who's reinvented himself. It looked like he might leave permanently for Genoa or elsewhere. Starting Premier League games now and doing okay.
He's done well, even though he's not playing on his favoured side.
Maddison sweeps it out to Spence again, 45 yards from goal. Well placed at the moment. Back again to Davis, another player that is still expected to leave this summer, with Leeds United one of the clubs interested. His contract expires this summer. Kulusevski battling for it, but running into trouble, and it will bobble into the path of De Ligt, who takes his time a little bit. Eventually finds Maguire, who will spread it out to Dorgu on that left-hand side. Xerxes, Bruno Fernandes, too strong by the looks of things. It might be kept in on that right-hand side, but Spence will come across and stop Dalot getting to it, and it's a Tottenham throw.
Just seen as well, I think it's the first time so far we've seen with Armamarin is that the 2 wing-backs are actually playing on their favoured sides. They're not inverted.
Dorgu making his first Premier League start. I think what we've seen, though, from Ruben Amorim is so much tinkering, Paul. It's very difficult to get a sense of, even though we know the system he likes to play, exactly what his best starting 11 is. Do you think he even knows it yet?
I think the one thing he does know, that he knows he hasn't got the right players to get what he wants from it, to be perfectly honest. That's what he does definitely know. I don't think he's got the back three of his choice. I don't think he's got his midfield of his choice, and he 100% hasn't got a front line of his choice. He's just been left with a lot of spare parts to work with, who have seen other managers. Too many have played for too many managers.
0-0, Tottenham against Manchester United. 4 minutes gone. Ben Jacobs and Paul Parker with you. Spence has it for Spurs, up to Maddison, who turns neatly away from Mazraoui and then is dragged down. Free kick to Tottenham, 10 yards infield, 35 yards from goal, just out of shooting distance.
Mazraoui got too tight. There is no reason for him to try and win that ball. If he just stands behind Maddison would have just passed that back to where it's coming from.
Son standing over the ball, goes short to James Maddison. And now Spence on the left-hand side, crosses first time, it looks decent. Tell can't quite get his head to it. Garnacho goes carelessly backwards, and Kulusevski's going to get there ahead of Xerxes. Porro with the cross, nobody inside the 6-yard area. Casemiro was back to half clear.
That was poor from Garnacho. First time he's been involved in the game, and he goes backwards instead of forwards, and he almost put United in trouble.
Certainly did. Tottenham are controlling the possession at the moment. Danso, Bergvall, Xerxes trying to press on the halfway line. Bergvall skips away from him. Diagonal ball to Maddison, who helps it on to Son on this near left-hand side. Back to Maddison again. Tell, Tottenham passing it in triangles on the near left-hand side. Son, who could do with a goal. Maddison, who's got 8 so far. His ball down the line eventually takes deflection and finds Son, who crosses first time, and Onana was hesitant off his line, and it just bounced inside the 6-yard area, but no one took a gamble at the back post. Kulusevski picks it up now. Bentancur, Danso, patient build-up by Spurs. Manchester United looking a bit jittery at the back. Danso's going to cross it from the right-hand side. Maddison got his little sort of flick to it, going for a bit of a back heel with the ball behind him, and Manchester United half clear again.
Well, it is all Spurs. Spurs haven't had this kind of possession early on for a long time. This is down to United sitting deep.
Spence, intrepid run down the left-hand side, and then a cross shot eventually is sliced well wide of the far right-hand post.
And he wasn't doing that a few weeks ago. Spence making those runs on his left side, going around the outside. I saw him play against Newcastle, and he looked very fearful on the ball, and on his weaker side was just content going sideways and backwards. He's definitely more confident now than what he has been for Spurs. It's a good time for him, considering the previous 2 managers who just weren't keen on him. He was just going out on loan all the time.
Hello to Dirk Pitt, who's been in contact and says, out for a morning walk in Tucson, Arizona, hoping Spurs get the win on TalkSport. And say hi to Cola, who is a lovely looking dog. We only really see the backside of the dog, so I'm not going to try and guess at a breed.
It looks a little bit, it looks like he's got a pug face, like a Staffordshire. It's got a pug face, the dog. I'm just going by the ears on it.
I was going to say, how on earth could you tell from the face when all you can see is its backside?
Yeah, it's just the ears. The ears are saying it to me. You mostly find out it's a cockadoo or something they call them, and it's just got pointy ears. I got that completely wrong.
Let us know the breed anyway, and more pets are welcome at TalkSport Live. 7 minutes gone. Spurs 0, Manchester United 0. You haven't missed anything. Manchester United have it at the back. It's swept out to Dorgu on the left-hand side, who's midway inside the Spurs half. Manchester United go backwards again, though.
That was a long way backwards, so from wide at the edge of the box to Tottenham box to almost to the tip of their own box.
Yeah, Tottenham are pressing well so far. Manchester United, though, work it down the right-hand side, and it just bobbles off Davis, with Højlund putting a bit of pressure on him, and it will be a throw-in to the visitors. Again taken backwards to Mazraoui. Manchester United with Onana, Mazraoui, Maguire, De Ligt, Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Dorgu, Garnacho, Xerxes and Højlund. And Tottenham, Vicario, Porro, Danso, Davis and Spence, Bergvall, Bentancur, Maddison, Kulusevski, Tell and Son. What do you make of Tell's signing?
I think it's a good one for Spurs. Just adds that little bit of pace to go in behind as well. That's what he gives them. He's in, he wants to prove a point. He's at a good age as well. I think he's perfect for what they need. Solanke's out, but I think he adds more Tell to him because of his movement.
Kulusevski, who you feel is going to be important if Tottenham are to win this game, Backwards he goes to Danso, who's had plenty of touches so far. Now Ben Davies sweeps one forwards. It looked well weighted originally, but it just bounces and skips away from Son, and Onana is off his line to gather.
Just needed a little bit more height on that ball. It's come from Ben Davies. I think we have to say, yeah, he's onside, but he's ran off of Dalot. Dalot's just jogged. I mean, it was poor defending. He didn't initially see the run because his body shape was wrong.
Almost 10 minutes gone, and no meaningful attempt on goal so far. Dalot has it for Manchester United, right in front of Ruben Amorim, who's wearing a navy puffer jacket and grey trousers. Maguire, the former Leicester man, chips one forwards. Rasmus Højlund is chasing. He's going to get there first ahead of Ben Davies. He's wide, but inside the Tottenham area, onto his left foot, tries a shot through the crowd. Vicario makes the save, and then it bounces away all the way back into midfield. It will be picked up by Garnacho, and he tries an effort which is parried away. It bounces to Dalot, and then it's cleared off the line by Davies. How on earth Manchester United haven't taken the lead there? Vicario influential with a couple of saves, and Davies tracking back as well. Dalot still has it. Another dangerous cross. Davies there again, glances it out for a corner.
Well, I think what we've learned from that moment there, football's not all about possession, because that's the first time United have been in that attacking third, and they've caused the biggest problems. I mean, Højlund steps inside of Ben Davies. Vicario makes a good save right in front of him, pushes it straight out. It gets cleared, it gets wide again. Garnacho steps inside the box, cuts inside, makes a save with his right arm. Dalot then puts it across the goal line, and they clear it away again. That was an incredible episode there, maybe 20 seconds.
Bruno Fernandes with the corner, just over the head of Harry Maguire. Dorgu will pick it up, and it's sat up for him. He tried a shot with his left foot, but it was always going well over the bar. And Tottenham have a welcome respite as Manchester United start to threaten.
Yeah, I mean, they've got that ball in the final third, and it is about the team and their defending today, because we've seen that any team who gets into each other's attacking third are going to cause problems, because defensively both these sides lack. Spurs have had so much possession, hadn't really done anything of a great deal with it, and Manchester United just virtually just countered, got him behind. Højlund on a long run gets him behind, and it causes problems.
11 minutes gone, Spurs 0, Manchester United 0 on Premier League Live. Just on the Dalot one, as it's miscontrolled by Garnacho on the far side. Spurs throwing on the halfway line. Do you think he didn't quite hit it cleanly enough, because he sort of twisted his body, almost hoping that if he put in a cross shot, he'd either score or it would get deflected in? If he'd just sort of squared up to the ball and hit it with power, he'd have probably beaten Vicario at his near post.
I just think he just reacted to just do it as quick as possible rather than spend too much time, and he just put it back into an area and they cleared it. I think that's the best he could have done, Ben, really. If he doesn't do that, then he'll be questioned.
0-0 here, 12 minutes gone, and Bentancur has it, infield to Porro, 30 yards from goal, twists away easily from Casemiro, back out to Bentancur, cross to the back post, Son on the volley, takes a couple of deflections, Bergvall gets it, it's parried, Maddison follows up, Tottenham have the lead, it's scored from 2 yards, it's James Maddison's 9th goal of the season in the Premier League. He shushes the Manchester United fans, and after 3 good Manchester United chances, Spurs come up the other end. Onana parried the shot from Bergvall, and there was Maddison to react, and it's Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0.
I think we have to talk about United and their defending. They're virtually just ball watching. No one's really aware of where the man is. I'm looking at this ball coming in, and Porro's got the ball. He goes wide to Bentancur. He puts a lovely ball. His son's on his own at the back post. Bergvall has a shot, and we have to say is that Onana's at full stretch when he goes to his left from the shot from Bergvall, and it was a great strike by Bergvall. But Maddison is just running on his own, really. No one's picked him up. No question of him being offsides.
Does Onana have to do better?
But he's just parried it straight into him, isn't he? He's virtually just left it there for him. He hasn't really worked his hand to pull it as wide as possible. He's just content to have just parried the shot. He's at full stretch, so maybe someone who's more experienced and more knowledgeable in the art of goalkeeping would say differently to what I've said. But on 2 counts, 100%, I'd look at... That's not the first time where they're ball watched. They're all doing it. But just to the fact of what Onana done there off that shot.
Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0 on Premier League Live. At TalkSport Live, if you'd like a shout out. Manchester United have kicked off and have the ball at the back, and now they have work to do. Dirk Pitt has been back in contact, Paul, and said it's not a pug, it's a toy Aussie.
Toy Aussie?
Which I've never heard of.
I think there's a lot of them that live down somewhere. A lot of them live in Sydney.
At TalkSport Live, if you'd like to get in touch, you don't have to send us pet pictures, although we do appreciate photography.
That's got to be an Australian one. I've never... where's that? A toy Aussie? Is that a breed?
Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0. 15 minutes gone. Onana parrying a shot from Bergvall. Maddison following up his 9th Premier League goal of the season. And with 15 minutes gone, Manchester United have work to do, and the game has really come alive. Good news for Manchester United as Tottenham don't keep too many clean sheets or win that many games here at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
If this game was at Old Trafford, it'd be deja vu, wouldn't it?
De Ligt at the back, slipped as he cleared, but wins his side a throw-in after it came off the hip of Kulusevski. Just a reminder, earlier, Liverpool extended their lead to 7 points at the top of the table after a narrow 2-1 win over Wolves, who are still fighting at the bottom of the table, and they're outside the bottom 3, despite the fact that Ipswich picked up a very welcome point against Aston Villa, even though they were down for a full half to 10 men. Onana to Dalot. Manchester United with the ball at the back. Maddison is just going to press too hard and nudge Bruno Fernandes.
No, I'm just... No, if that's the other way round, Bruno would have been having a go at Maddison to stay on his feet. I mean, it was very dramatic, wasn't it, that? What he's just done there, Bruno.
Free kick to Manchester United at the back, inside their own half. Worked quickly forwards to Xerxes, who's in a very deep position, neatly out the left-hand side. Højlund is trying to get just to the right of Ben Davis. He's around the penalty spot at the moment. Garnacho has it, infield to Bruno Fernandes. Now out to Dalot, who's in space inside the Tottenham area. Shut down pretty quickly by Spence. Chips it back to Bruno Fernandes, and now Casemiro. He helps it onto the left-hand side. Dorgu to cross, relatively dangerous. Danso took up a good position to half clear. Now Casemiro has it again, and backwards he goes. Manchester United are getting some joy in wide areas, and Dorgu getting forwards here again on the left-hand side. Dorgu against Porro should be an interesting battle, Paul.
It should be, yeah. He's just got to keep working, make sure work Porro by going the other way, stop him getting forwards.
Dalot to Mazraoui as Manchester United switch play to the right-hand side. Mazraoui, one of a few players wearing gloves. Casemiro. Well, he went down like he was caught there, but doesn't get the whistle. Tell comes away with it. Kulusevski on the counter-attack. I don't think Casemiro was caught there.
No, I don't either.
It wasn't so much a dive, or if it was a dive, he's improved his acting whilst he's been out of this side.
The legs just kind of just capitulated, didn't they? It wasn't one motion.
Well, it looked convincing, but right in front of the referee Peter Banks and no whistle given. Tottenham had briefly broken down the right-hand side, but now they've checked. And Danso has it in the centre. He chips one forwards, which is well brought down by Porro, who's on the edge of the area, central position, lays it off to Bentancur. Spence lets it roll through his legs. James Maddison has it on the left-hand side. And now Son on the edge of the area. Looking for options, back to Maddison. Tottenham with patient, intricate build-up. Spence against Dalot from the edge of the area, whipped in towards Tell, who lays it off to Kulusevski. And that's an important block by Maguire, who was down on the ground.
He's lucky he had the shot. If he'd have stepped around him, he could have gone round him so easy. Harry Maguire was on the floor so early.
Tottenham winning back the second ball, though. Son and Spence combining. Casemiro's in the way. And now Xerxes should be able to spin away from Son and eventually get a whistle, as Maddison on the ground had supposedly brought him down. It looked a little bit soft, and then Manchester United waste it by taking the free kick too quick and Garnacho is offside.
Garnacho, if he'd have just not ran for that and just left it, I think Hoyland was always stood a chance of getting that one.
But when you've got dead ball and you know that's what's going to happen, surely you've just got to stay in your own half.
Yeah, but he's just gone too early. And I think he has to do that in a certain way, Garnacho, because he's not blessed with pace, is he? Very one-paced.
Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0. James Maddison with the goal. Spurs unbeaten in their last 4 Premier League meetings with Manchester United, having won 2 and drawn 2 before this one. And here's Spence to Bergvall, 30 yards out. Shoot, was the chant from the crowd. Bergvall didn't want to, and eventually as he tried to thread it through to Kulusevski, De Ligt was in the way. Once again though, Manchester United very deep, and when they clear it, they've got no outlet, and as a consequence, Tottenham are getting a lot of second opportunities to control the possession. Kulusevski on the right-hand side, Dorgu slides in, bobbles into the path though of Porro, and now back to Davis, who will slow things down and find Maddison on this left-hand side. Maddison looking for options. Son hugging the touchline on the left-hand side. It goes back to Bentancur instead. We're sort of seeing, Paul, in these early stages, Hoyland and Xerxes alternate as the lead man, but neither of them have really found a kind of mutually acceptable spacing. So when one of them tries to hold up the ball, the other's too deep. They've got to find a way, haven't they, to create a bit more of a partnership.
They certainly have, and it hasn't happened when they have played together. It hasn't happened when one of them's played up front. It hasn't happened for Xerxes every time he's played in that role just behind the striker. What it needs more than anything is somebody just to be able to be a threat in behind a Tottenham defence which sits very high. That's what he needs.
20 minutes gone, Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0. James Maddison, whilst Paul was speaking, has won a free kick. It's 40 yards from goal. And Maddison is going to ping it backwards to Danso. Everyone behind the ball for Manchester United. Hello to Lee Hart, who's listening whilst walking around with his dog in Saskatoon, where it's minus 43. And he is with Gibson, the Golden Doodle, who doesn't look remotely cold, which is probably the advantage when you're all made of fur. At TalkSport Live, if you'd like a shout out, we'd love to hear from you as ever. As Harry Maguire comes forwards with purpose, still going right up to the edge of the area, now lays it off to Rasmus Højlund, who drops the shoulder, looks for a cutback. It was behind Xerxes, and Maddison will bring it away. Half a chance there though for Manchester United, created by Maguire. And now Xerxes has it, goes through the legs of Bergvall, finds Højlund, he's being pushed back by Kulusevski. Dorgu, Xerxes, Garnacho on the overlap. Xerxes though cuts inside and tries to find the far right-hand corner, and it wasn't too far away. A decent effort, but watched all the way by Vicario and about 2 yards wide.
That wasn't bad for Xerxes. He showed a bit of confidence then. It's the first time I've really seen him have a go from outside of the box. It was good feet. There have been those moments at United where they have threatened, but they're not doing it on a consistent basis at the moment.
Manchester United have had 5 attempts and 2 on target, even though it doesn't feel like that kind of game. Xerxes wins it back. Bruno Fernandes, decent ball. Garnacho inside the area. He should bury that, or at worst, he should hit the target. But from 5 yards out, at a slight angle, he balloons it over the bar.
Yeah, he should have done better again, Garnacho. It was well worked for him as well by Fernandes. He's just gone for power, and he's just leant back on it as well. He's just gone for the perfect finish. He just had to hit the target.
I mean, at that kind of angle, you can just pass it into the right corner, can't you?
That's all he had to do, really.
Really good play by Bruno Fernandes to draw the defender and then find Garnacho, and he fluffs his lines. Manchester United with another clear-cut opportunity. Xerxes wins it back off Bergvall here in a dangerous position, tried to go alone, ran into Danso, the new January signing. Dramatic one as well, as it looked like Wolves had won that race. They booked a medical and then Spurs were able to hijack. As we just get another look at the Garnacho chance, and Ruben Amorim's reaction, Paul, says it all.
Yeah, he knows he's got to at least hit the target, work the goalkeeper. That was poor. I don't know if he's going to get many of those opportunities, but he's always looking to score that same kind of goal every single time.
Set up nicely though now, if you're neutral anyway, as Manchester United starting to respond. Garnacho on the left-hand side, chips an incisive ball to Dalot, first time across the 6-yard area, bit too strong for Rasmus Højlund. Dorgu did well to keep it in. Vicario catches his cross anyway, and a late flag may suggest the ball went out of play and then back in as the cross came in from that left-hand side. Either way, Vicario plays on, catches the ball, bowls it out to Bergvall, who sprints all the way up to the right-hand touchline. Maddison, Spence in too much space here. Son on the edge of the area. Now he cuts inside, and eventually Mazraoui is the player in the way, and Bruno Fernandes comes away with it. Another neat ball as well. And Dorgu can sprint up to the halfway line. It's end-to-end all of a sudden.
It's really opened up. It shows you where these sides are at this moment in time.
Garnacho to Bruno Fernandes, 30 yards from goal, shapes to shoot, took too long, and it's charged down by Bentancur, and then Tell is caught in a 50-50 Spurs free kick. Guilty party Casemiro.
The referee, he couldn't do anything about it. I have to say there, Casemiro. Tell has turned and ran into him after he's laid off a poor ball, so he's thrown himself to the floor, and the referee's talking to Casemiro about his tackling.
Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0 on Premier League Live. Ben Jacobs and Paul Parker with you. Manchester United have never finished outside the top 8 in a Premier League season. At the moment, 29 points is the fewest they've ever taken at this stage. They are 12 points off compared to last season. And last season, that points tally also wasn't seen as good enough.
No, at this moment, it's not good enough. I'm just trying to make United not qualifying for Europe is a bad thing, the way the club is, not to have Europe in the pocket as well.
Maddison, that's a decent ball to Son, who's in space on the left-hand side, inside the area, whips it back to Tell, hit it first time, tried to beat Onana at his near post, maybe needed to keep it just a fraction lower. It was a good height for Onana, and Tell's powerful effort is turned away by the Manchester United goalkeeper.
He's done well on that, and when he could see it all the time, it wasn't the greatest of shots by Tell. It was definitely onside. That's all he could. Sorry, on target, I should say. But Onana should be saving that. He does save it as well.
Tottenham corner, near left-hand side. Son to take it. And he does tend to go for Olympicos quite often, Son. Plenty around the 6-yard area. It's whipped into the near post. It eventually bounces to Kulusevski. He's inside the area. Back he goes to James Maddison. Now Bentancur. Tottenham still with the ball on the left-hand side. Bentancur angles one in. No real pace on it. Tell lets it bounce. And then Mazraoui steps in. And the final touch is off the Spurs player for a Manchester United throw-in. The sort of oddity of all of this. New football, new tactics, high line, enterprising managers, dynamic football. But the reality is, both of them are getting their most joy when they just hoof it route one.
Oh, exactly right. It is about counter-attacks and the ball going, travelling a bit of a distance. And the thing about it, though, the fans in the stadium are getting a little bit of entertainment out of it. They're not seeing sluggish football from the back line, the disappointment of your team giving it away on the edge of their own box. They're just seeing it a little bit going forward quicker. Spurs are better at it and quicker at it than Manchester United.
Yeah, Manchester United still adapting to Amorim ball as Onana has it at the back. Poor clearance. Bentancur and then Davis. And now Maddison. Back to Davis once more. James Maddison controlling everything at the moment. Outside the boot, ball up towards Kulusevski. Now back to Bergvall. He'll spread it quickly to Porro on the right-hand side. He's certainly got a killer delivery. Bergvall, Bentancur again, nearly threaded into the path of Kulusevski. Just couldn't carry the ball with him. And Delete clears for a Spurs throw.
And you look around and you look at Delete kind of senses danger. He saw that happening and he stepped back and he read it. Fortunate enough for Manchester United. he knew where that ball was going to go, and it was going to go in between Harry Maguire and Mazraoui, and he saw the danger and nipped in there.
Bergvall, after Manchester United hand it straight back to Spurs. Porro on the right-hand side across the 6-yard area. Son was lurking. Dalot did ever so well. He half clears. Bergvall picks it up 30 yards from goal. Interchanges with Danso. And now Porro hugging the touchline on the right-hand side as Manchester United have everybody behind the ball. Jed Spence given freedom to roam centrally. His ball took a deflection but found Maddison. And now Son again. Son in this system, he really is like an old school left winger, isn't he?
Yeah.
Getting white chalk on the boots.
He certainly is, but he's not as dynamic as he used to be. I mean, before in that role there, everyone used to be scared of him cutting inside. He's not the player of old, but he's still a quality player. He's a great outlet for Tottenham.
Porro, as Tottenham have sustained possession. Bentancur back to Danso. Tottenham fans liking what they've seen so far. Manchester United have had some golden opportunities, though, of their own. Premier League Live, it's Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. Almost half an hour gone. James Maddison has it. Infield to Tell, who's running from deep. He's looking out to that right-hand side for options. Nobody was really there. Hospital pass to Porro. Half cleared by Garnacho. Didn't get clean enough contact, though, which means it bounces into the path of Danso. He helps it up to Maddison, who ran into trouble. Now Xerxes comes away with it. He does well to toe poke it into the path of Bruno Fernandes, who comes storming forwards. The cross isn't great, though, as Rasmus Højlund had run ahead of the ball.
It was a poor cross, but to be honest, Fernandes didn't really have a lot to aim for. As you mentioned, Højlund just ran for the sake of running.
And now at the other end, Son comes away with it. Hot foots towards the edge of the area. Mazraoui pins him back for now. Jed Spence. And Tottenham again slow things down. Bentancur, Tell, Maddison thought he was caught there right on the edge of the area. Maguire says get up, and the referee agrees with Maguire.
He's right, the referee's got it right. Maddison does that a hell of a lot, throws himself to the floor, but then United get the ball, and Fernandes gives away a cheap ball, 5-yard pass, and he gives it away and allows Tottenham to come back again.
Bergvall, Kulusevski, who's up against Dorgu, 30 yards from goal on the far right-hand side. Now it's with Jed Spence as Tottenham switch possession to the left. I think both teams at the moment are just having a bit of a breather here. Tottenham have had 76% possession in the last 10 minutes, as Manchester United are trying to press Kulusevski back, and he has to go all the way back to Vicario, who comes outside of his area to gather the ball. Now Ben Davies and Jed Spence will cross over the halfway line. Son on the overlap, and he's used. Back to Spence again. Manchester United struggling to get their foot on the ball all of a sudden.
But Spurs have just taken the tempo away by keeping the ball. And to be honest, it's their strength really, because if they allow United to have a counter, there's an opportunity for them to get a little bit of joy, so they've quelled that by slowing their passing down.
Bergvall to Kulusevski, helps it in first time. Bentancur gets there ahead of Maguire, and as Maguire cleared, De Ligt just stuck his foot out, and it goes backwards and out for a bit of a cheap Spurs corner.
I don't think De Ligt's just played it safe there. He's facing the byline. He doesn't know what's behind him. He doesn't want to turn in his own box or look for another pass. He just put it straight out. His whole reaction goes, what do I do? Do I try and play football and then give the ball away cheaply, get caught in possession, or do I pull it for a goal kick? And he's mostly saying to himself, hopefully the team defends properly.
Danso, Davis, Bentancur, all forwards. Nobody's picking up Danso at the moment. He's by the penalty spot. It's in towards him. It doesn't quite reach him, and then Manchester United will get a free kick as Casemiro is down on the ground. Bergvall, the guilty party, and it was lucky they got that whistle because there were two Spurs players lurking.
It was on their own. I mean, Casemiro again has made a little bit more of a meal with that, but Bergvall was in a great position now. I mean, it'd be an interesting one if that goes into the net and then it has to be looked at. You have to say, was there enough contact for Casemiro to do what he done?
Yeah, I don't think that there was. Bergvall just stood his ground.
Yeah.
Casemiro leapt for the ball, fell to the ground, and then Bergvall just took a bit of a wild effort on the spin, and it was over the bar, so no need to bring in VAR. But Tottenham are threatening again in an end-to-end game. Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. 33 minutes gone. Ben Jacobs and Paul Parker. Hello to Steve Fry, who's listening to the call in snowy Michigan with his black Labrador. And he says after our commentary, Paul, he's going to be snow blowing the driveway again.
Oh, God.
I think I'd just leave the snow. Covers
Yeah.
up all your dirt. The dog can roll around in it. Build a snowman.
Well, the dog's having the time of its life in front of that fire.
Yeah, we have a picture via @TalkSport Live if you'd like to stick it into X and have a look. And his black Labrador mix with, I think, a dog bed. It might just be a human cushion right in front of a fireplace that we could do with now as well, because it's freezing here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. 10 minutes to go plus added time. There shouldn't be that much of it, and Manchester United have won themselves a free kick here on the halfway line. Bruno Fernandes goes route one. Harry Maguire has to just take a volleyed effort at the ball at the far back post near the touchline, just try and keep it in. He wasn't going for a shot or anything, and in typical Sunday League fashion, he shins it straight out for a Spurs goal kick. Tottenham take that goal kick short and down the left-hand side. Son to Spence, who's got loads of time here. He storms away, now works it up to Tell on the left-hand side, who's just outside the area. Back to Jed Spence again, who got that cross all wrong. Tried to find Kulusevski. Kulusevski sort of signalled to him, but then held his ground, and Spence didn't know whether to ping it towards the 6-yard area or a little bit deeper. Mishit it, but it is kept in, and Tottenham have it on the right hand side.
Yeah, Kulusevski made good out of bad there, to be perfectly honest.
Bergvall, Bentancur, now out to Porro, who fizzes one in that's going to be too strong, and Son won't keep it in at the back post. Goal kick to Manchester United. 10 minutes to go. What do Manchester United need to do to try and find an equaliser before half-time?
Well, they just have to get on the ball and be better with the ball. The one they're looking for, who's had a lot of the ball in half-decent areas, is Fernandes, and he's been poor with the ball, to be honest. Already we're seeing the weakness they've got in the front line, decision-making, keeping the ball. It's just not good enough, so you just wonder where their goal's going to come from at this moment. Normally, I would say Ahmad's the one they've got to get on the ball. But since they've lost him, they've lost a lot of their attacking strength.
Yeah, Ahmad expected to be out until next season, not yet officially confirmed, but Ruben Amorim said in the build-up it was likely, and in addition, Kobbie Mainoo is likely to be sidelined for several weeks. We could still see him before the end of the season. 6 to 8 weeks is the broad estimation, and Manchester United will know more in the coming days there. Casemiro just about gets it out to the left-hand side. He wants a whistle here after being caught late, and he'll get one as well. Peter Banks playing the advantage, which didn't come, and free kick to Manchester United midway inside the Spurs half. Casemiro just caught late by Ben Davies. And that was probably one that he did get caught for.
Yeah, but the thing, there was no malice in it. Those things happen. It's called momentum there with Ben Davies coming for the ball, and the referee doesn't speak to him. He sees that as part and parcel of football, and thank God for that.
37 minutes gone. Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. Hello to Kevin Norcott, who is listening to the game on his way to the mountains in snowy New Hampshire. Drive safe, and as ever, thanks for listening. Manchester United free kick, 30 yards from goal. Bruno Fernandes pinged in towards De Ligt. Vicario gets a whistle, I think, in the end. It may have been an offside anyway against De Ligt, but Vicario sort of gathered it, dropped it, and then it's one of them that goalkeepers usually get, don't they? But even if it wasn't a foul, De Ligt was offside.
Yeah, he did. He's definitely gone too early, and to be honest, he's jumped. Yeah, he's jumped into the keeper. It was a foul. There's no denying that one. But goalkeepers do get maybe the most favours, but in that one, I'll give the goalkeeper that one.
Tottenham, as it stands, would move to 30 points above Manchester United, who would drop to 15th. Everton also on 30 points, and so are Crystal Palace. Everton have found a bit of form under David Moyes. And Liverpool, of course, can extend their lead even further because it's a double game week for them. They go away at Aston Villa on Wednesday. You can join us for that one on Premier League Live. And that means by the time potentially Arsenal play again, the gap at the top could be 10. If it gets to 10, title over. You would think.
I would believe, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I definitely believe.
Manchester United have the ball. Here's Casemiro, who will just loop one in towards the back post. De Ligt is jumping, Højlund's in there as well. Davis took a risk and let that bounce. Luckily no one followed up for him from Manchester United, and Spence hooks it clear. Paul Parker waving his hands in the air. Casemiro has it now on the right-hand side. He gives it away trying to cross the ball, and Son should be able to run it clear. He is caught by Casemiro from behind, and we're going to get the first yellow card of the game to the Brazilian, who's also been hurt here in making that challenge. But when he gets up, he's going to get the unwelcome sight of a yellow card. Strange one, that.
Yeah, I'm just looking there. Was it Casemiro? Was it Højlund? And what kind of contact was there?
I mean, Casemiro's just slid in from the side on Son, for which he's been booked. And he sort of seems fine after the challenge, just looking at the replay at his face. Sits on the deck, looking fine, not grabbing anything. And then suddenly he's holding what looks like the back of the right hamstring.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
But those innocuous ones, as we saw with Lisandro Martinez, they're never great, are they?
No, the most serious injuries are generally not about two players colliding with each other or anything like that. They just normally happen on their own. Knee injuries, hamstrings, calves.
So Casemiro is booked, but is able to run off a knock. The last thing Manchester United need is him going off this early, because we're surely not going to see Ruben Amorim at 1-0 throw any sort of dramatic kids, plural, or even kids, singular, on around the half-time mark.
No, I wouldn't have thought so, unless it's drastic, but he's not going to want to go and do that.
So Casemiro into the book, and play resumes with a free kick won by Son. It goes backwards to Vicario. We've got 3 minutes to go until half-time. It's Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0 on Premier League Live. Spence now has it, runs into the wall that is Bruno Fernandes. Manchester United hand it straight back to Maddison. They've been sloppy in midfield.
They have been sloppy. Harry Maguire was sloppy there. The ball needed to be moved early. Decides he wants to have an extra 2 touches, and he gives the ball away. Now Spurs are in possession.
Yeah, Danso played a neat little 1-2, which possibly resulted from a heavy first touch, but it ends up bringing Spurs 30 yards from goal. Maddison spins away from Mazraoui. Diagonal ball to Son, who's on the edge of the area. Whipped him first time. It won't beat Maguire. His header goes backwards, and Onana has the ball safely in his hands. And bowls it out to Dorgu, who tried to take a touch around Porro. Porro blocked it, and very luckily for Dorgu, Porro then couldn't keep his own little block in play. Had he done so, he would have been in down that right-hand side.
He would, but it's working both ways on that one, Ben. I tell you what, as well with Porro, I think he's gone and gambled there, and it would have been a 2 against 1 on that side. So he had, when he made that, he had to get it, otherwise he would have been embarrassed.
Bruno Fernandes, little 1-2 with Casemiro, and Casemiro's ball back to Bruno Fernandes is overcooked. Tottenham throw in. Home crowd jeering. And I mean, Casemiro's basic distribution, it just seems off to me.
To be fair to him there, I'm going to turn around and say that he was actually there when he gave that ball. He's waiting for Fernandes to step forward 2 yards after he passes it. He didn't. He stood his ground, then he's gone after the pass. He should have actually made the pass by going into that space. Casemiro generally sees the pass early. That's his great strength, and he puts balls into areas where he expects players to be. So I'd let him off the hook for that one.
Yeah, maybe Manchester United guilty of being a bit too static to get the best out of Casemiro.
But then on the other side of it, if it was really his fault, I think Fernandes would have let him know. Fernandes just kind of dipped his head as if he knew he should have stepped forward a yard or two earlier.
Meanwhile, Jed Spence has come running down the left-hand side and been fouled by Mazraoui, and Tottenham have a free kick and can whip the ball into the box here. Son to take it, 35 yards from goal, just 5 yards in field. One-man Manchester United wall in the form of Garnacho. Rasmus Højlund standing outside the area. Tottenham have got a line of players about a yard inside the Manchester United box. Few of them, like Bergvall, in an offside position at the moment. Son to deliver first time, poor delivery, doesn't beat the first man. Only half cleared by Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes doesn't get much distance on it either. Xerxes can't bring it down. Bergvall and Bruno Fernandes in a 50-50. Fernandes gets there first. Højlund trying to get his body to the ball, somehow bundles it forwards to Xerxes. It's ugly by Manchester United, and eventually Bruno Fernandes could have controlled it, and he got the ball caught under his feet, and that sort of sums up his first half. And now Maddison comes away with it.
Yeah, you got that right there, Ben. That does sum up his first half. It's just been bits and bobs, and any bonus bits have maybe come about because of maybe good fortune.
Now it's Tottenham and Bergvall who are going to be guilty of a cheap free kick, which Manchester United take quickly inside their own half, and they work it down the left-hand side. Garnacho has it. There's 1 minute of added time, which is pretty much just the goal celebration. James Maddison, the difference between the sides on 12 minutes. It's been lively at times, but I would say in the last sort of 10 minutes or so, it's hit a bit of a lull.
I think we're actually personally seeing the reasons why these teams are struggling, Ben. They are struggling this season. There's nothing of any consistency with them really at all. Anything of like promise. They're just two teams struggling.
One last chance maybe for Manchester United. Garnacho to Casemiro. 15 seconds of the 1 minute remaining. De Ligt, 30 yards from goal, switches the play to the right-hand side. Manchester United need to get a move on here. Dalot crosses first time, it deflects off Son, and then it's volleyed away by Ben Davies. And bang on 46 minutes, there is the half-time whistle, and it is Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. James Maddison the scorer on 12 minutes. It was a shot that came in from Bergvall that was parried poorly away by Onana. Maddison the only player to follow up, and it was a simple finish from a few yards out. And Tottenham at the break have the lead against Manchester United by 1-0. More to follow on Premier League Live. Ben Jacobs and Paul Parker with you. All of the analysis coming next.
Previously on White and Jordan.
No one buys a football club until that football club is in absolute distress.
But the fans look at it differently.
Comments, conflict and confrontation.
Well, who creates hell most of the time? The media whip up the Ferrari.
Hold on. Even better than Carradine.
Let me finish this.
Here we go.
Disagree to disagree.
Jim White and Simon Jordan.
I mean, do me a favour.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Week in the Tackle with Brian Dunseth and Tom Rennie is a weekly podcast where we tackle the biggest stories from the world of soccer.
Soccer? What the hell's happened to you, man?
You guys just won't let that go, will you?
What's next? You gonna take an elevator to your apartment where you use a cell phone to order takeout?
You mean the lift to my flat where I'll use my mobile to order a takeaway?
A Week in the Tackle is a weekly football podcast tackling the biggest stories from the Premier League, Major League Soccer, the Champions League, and more. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk Sport Drive.
Weekday afternoons from 4 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport Drive with me, Darren Bent.
And me, Andy Goldstein.
Sports radio that's guaranteed to go the distance.
Move up through the gears with all the day's sports.
Daily football debates, plus a bootload of banter.
Watch the lights. Release the clutch. Drive!
Talk Sport Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent.
Weekday afternoons from 4 on Talk Sport.
The fastest football on the way home.
That's going to come back to haunt me, that one, isn't it?
Global events.
What is the difference between a humanitarian pause and a ceasefire in the conflict?
Reactive analysis.
There's a lot of anxiety about this. We'll speak to the people involved.
From the world's best journalists.
People who can provoke your thoughts on the news and issues of the day.
We'll make sure you're fully briefed on what's leading the world of politics.
Times Radio is available to listen without a subscription on DAB digital radio, online via the Times Radio app and on your smart speaker. Times Radio.
Previously on White and Jordan.
These guys are lemmings. All they do is follow one another. Everyone gets a tattoo. Everyone drives the same cars. They all have the same haircuts. But when it comes to it, they don't learn from one another's lessons.
Fight or flight. Jordan or White.
It's not surprising that when you get a big bag of money on top of it, you get your mind out of whack.
The egos have landed. Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Reasons to like TalkSport. 1, 2, 3. Football, golf and cricket, your season ticket. A punt on a whippet and goals. A bit of Super Alley, the dance at Alley Pally. The next at Abbey Valley and Grand Green Bowls. Addy on the Depot, the old firm live from Glasgow. Leather on the Willow, plus Perry Groves. Premier League footballers, runners, riders, ballers. Lots of angry callers and anecdotes.
Don't be a blockhead. Listen to TalkSport on DAB Digital Radio 1089 and 10:53 AM on the app and on your smart speaker.
TalkSport.
Premier League Live, half-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. James Maddison with the early goal from close range. And these are the half-time highs on Premier League Live. It will be picked up by Garnacho, and he tries an effort which is parried away. It bounces to Dalot, and then it's cleared off the line by Davis. How on earth Manchester United haven't taken the lead there? Vicario influential with a couple of saves.
That was an incredible episode there, maybe 20 seconds.
Back out to Bentancur, cross to the back post. Son on the volley, takes a couple of deflections. Bergvall gets it, it's parried. Maddison follows up. Tottenham have the lead. It's scored from 2 yards. It's James Maddison's 9th goal of the season in the Premier League. He shushes the Manchester United fans, and after 3 good Manchester United chances, Spurs come up the other end. Anana parried the shot from Bergvall, and there was Maddison to react, and it's Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0. Xerxes wins it back. Bruno Fernandes, decent ball. Garnacho inside the area. He should bury that, or at worst, he should hit the target. But from 5 yards out at a slight angle, he balloons it over the bar.
He's just gone for the perfect finish. You just had to hit the target.
So at the break here, Spurs with a slender lead, and Manchester United have basically only got kids on their bench if they are to make any changes to try and turn the game in their favour. They have had chances of their own though, in particular Diogo Dalot with a cross shot cleared off the line by Ben Davis. At TalkSport Live, if you'd like to get in touch, hello to Nash, who is with his Aussie Shepherds, which, despite the name, he says, is an American breed. Hello to Bruce, who is listening whilst driving to an afternoon visit with his elderly parents in Chatsworth, Georgia. Chatsworth sounds very fancy here in England. Chatsworth has a castle. I'm sure you're off somewhere very fancy, like afternoon tea. Let us know. And Bruce says, go Spurs. Hello to Kyle Becker. And hello to William Metz as well, who's in snowy Ohio, listening to Manchester United against Tottenham. No dog, though, but at least William apologises for that. A fantastic snow-covered tree, though, outside the venue that you are at. At TalkSport Live, if you'd like to get in touch, and also at TalkSport Live if you want to go and have a look at any of the photographs that have been posted from others. We're mostly referencing pets at the moment, because a fair few of you have sent some dogs. We're not catist, though, so if you've got a cat, send us it. And if you've got a kid as well, we would like to have a look at them as well. At TalkSport Live, if you would like to get in touch. So more from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in just a moment. We'll get Paul's thoughts as well. But let's just quickly get some reaction to the early game today, which saw Liverpool beat Wolves by 2-1. Mo Salah, the difference between the two sides, and Liverpool moving 7 clear at the top. And they play again on Wednesday when they can extend that lead to 10. After the game, our very own Mickey Gray caught up with the Liverpool manager, Arne Slot.
Yeah, of course a lot, because it was a difficult second half for many reasons. First of all, because Wolves did really well. Second of all, we had some mentally some difficult moments to handle. We scored a goal. We thought we scored a goal. Was offside. Correct decision. We thought we had the third goal with a penalty. Was turned over by the VAR. Again, correct decision in my opinion. And then immediately afterwards, they scored the 2-1. So it's always difficult if you think you go 3 up and then all of a sudden you're 2-1 down with 3 days ago having to defend the lead at Everton, and we thought we did really well till the last second of the game where we conceded. So yeah, again, great mentality from the players like Wednesday evening, great mentality today again, and now they got the reward by getting 3 points.
Was it tactical to bring Konate off at half-time, or did you feel like he was on the edge of maybe picking up a second yellow card?
Of course, the last thing. I think if his second foul of the, I don't know if it's the second foul, but the moment that happened, if that would have been his second yellow, he would have received 2 soft yellows, because the first one was really soft, and the second one, where everybody thought he could have got the yellow, was only a shoulder touch. So if that would have been a second yellow, it would be really hard. But I've seen so many football in my life. I know that then if you don't give the yellow there, then the referee is under a lot of pressure. So every next foul would probably lead to a lot of discussion. And I don't think you can play a centre-back for 45 minutes against a strong team like Wolves with him knowing in his head, if I make one foul, I'm off. So, and the good thing is we have with Gerard Kwanzaa very good replacements. So it wasn't a difficult choice to make.
Arne Slot there speaking to Mickey Gray. Here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Ben Jacobs and Paul Parker with you. We wait and see if there's any changes at half-time. What do you think Paul Ruben Amorim will be saying to his side at the break?
Well, the one thing, I don't think he can go in there and rip into them, because I just don't know how much of these players will take any notice of it, the way they've been playing. But he's going to want them to be better with the ball, and he's going to want a little bit more drive from them as well. Energy going forward. They're pondering at the back with the ball, and you can see the way Spurs play. You have to go at them early. Every other team does it. That's why Spurs are struggling this season. That's why the fans are on the Spurs back, because teams just go there and they just overall, just take over everything about them. People do that to Manchester United. So we've seen 2 teams with the same problems, and yet the difference is that Spurs are doing what they normally do, but Manchester United are not doing what they should be doing up against a side that defend quite high and do not like when the balls move quickly around them, and that's what it boils down. That's what it boils down to. You have to play them at their own game, but you have to be better defensively than what United are at this moment. And they're getting passed through far too often.
And from Tottenham's point of view, they have been in this position before. I think to Leicester, for example, where they got 1-0 up at half-time. It was relatively positive, but it was open as well. And within about 7 minutes that second half, Leicester were 2-1 up. So it feels like it's a key sort of 10-15 minute period starting the second half for Tottenham to either protect what they've got or find that killer goal.
You're 100% right with that, but the problem is you've got a Manchester United side who are not dynamic. They can't play that way. They won't play that way. They're not going to come out and go straight at it knowing what Spurs' weaknesses are. They're just still going to carry on doing what they're doing at this moment. So it is going to be one of them ones where I think it's going to be frustrating for the Manchester United fans, but they're just getting a carbon copy of what they've had most of the season. I will be shocked if they come out the blocks. And that's the way I see it. It has to be that way. I'm not no coach, I'm not no manager, but it's obvious to me, and I think it's obvious to a lot of fans, that United have to be more dynamic. The manager knows it. The manager wasn't allowed to change it. So it might be that he might bring on young players and let that energy with a young player shine through and say, there's an example, follow him.
More from Paul in just a moment. Send us your predictions for the second half via @TalkSport Live. And that is what's coming up next. At the break, Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. Full match commentary up next on Premier League Live.
When the biggest names in the game talk, They talk to Jim White and Simon Jordan.
Good morning, Graham Souness.
Great to be here.
David Moyes.
We're ready to go again.
Tyson Fury, good morning.
Simon Jordan and Jim White, the best talk show on radio.
Players, owners, moguls, managers.
Liverpool legend Jurgen Klopp.
I listen from time to time. I cannot say that I'm a fan of Simon Jordan.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Egos have landed.
Sit up there, Jim White.
Weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
You know the trouble with football podcasts. There's never a great mix of English and American voices tackling the biggest topics of the day from that much craved Anglo-American viewpoint.
No, that's so true. But don't worry, I do have a solution. Week in the Tackle is a weekly football podcast tackling the biggest stories from the Premier League, Major League Soccer, Champions League, and more. Hosted by myself, MLS commentator Brian Dunseth, and you, Premier League play-by-play man Tom Rennie.
Sounds great, Danny. I'll search for Week in the Tackle and subscribe right now wherever one can get podcasts.
Stay connected to intelligent conversation and the latest breaking news wherever you are with the free Times Radio app. Listen in your car easily with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto options. And listen at home via Google Cast or on Apple AirPlay-enabled speakers and televisions. Plus, get instant access to a wide range of podcasts, including Off Air with Jane and Fee, The Story, and Politics Without the Boring Bits. Download the free Times Radio app by searching for Times Radio on the App Store or Google Play today.
Talk Sport Drive. Weekday afternoons from 4 on Talk Sport.
With me, Darren Bent, and Andy Goldstein.
Unrivaled, opinionated comment from the biggest names in sport.
Insane acceleration, outstanding pace, next generation slipstream sport.
High performance afternoon radio with more goal talk to the gallon.
Belt up and listen.
Talk Sport Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. Weekday afternoons from 4 on Talk Sport. The fastest football on the way home. Danny Kelly's Trans-Europe Express on Talk Sport.
He's a pundit and he's on Talk Sport.
Ich heiße Danny Kelly mit your match report.
On Trans-Europe Express he has got all the scores with continental football games, big guests and more. La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A. Also, Herr Kelly will make sure you're always in the know. He doesn't like to mention back in T3 that he was the editor of the enemy. Yeah.
Trans-Europe Express is back. TalkSport's continental collective of breaking news and insider reviews from Europe's major leagues is here.
Trans-Europe Express.
With Monsieur Danny Kelly. Sunday night from 9 on TalkSport.
Also available on music cassette.
Premier League Live, second half about to get underway. Ben Jacobs, Paul Parker here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Half-time, Spurs are leading by a goal to nil. James Maddison with the early goal, scoring from close range after Lucas Bergfeld's shot was parried by Andre Onana, and Maddison was the only player to react and score. And Ange Postecoglou will hope his side can hang on to this lead or improve it in order to make the second half a little bit more comfortable. At TalkSport Live, if you'd like to get in touch, Paul Parker is alongside me. It doesn't appear, Paul, that we've seen any changes at half-time, which is no real surprise, is it?
No, you mentioned that, Ben, about you didn't think he would do it given what's on the bench for him, really, the young players. I think he'll try his best to avoid it unless he feels that maybe one of them is necessary. I see that as maybe Martin Obi coming on, really. That's the only one I would feel, because he's definitely got the stature as well. Yeah. And that's, you know, what we see on the outside, it makes me think there's an opportunity for him to go out there and do himself justice strength-wise.
Chido Obi has scored for fun at youth level. Different proposition doing it on the road in the Premier League, but he definitely plays without fear. Stadium here starting to fill up again. Plenty leave at half-time to get some of that beer that rises from the ground up. And now the lights are on outside the stadium as well, and it looks quite the picture here in North London. And Tottenham, as it stands, are going to move ahead of Manchester United. No changes at half-time for either side. So Tottenham with Vicario, Porro, Danso, Davison, Spence, Bergvall, Bentancur and Maddison, Kulusevski, Tell and Son. Tell had struggled really to get into the game in the first half, had one shot which was parried away by Onana. And for Manchester United, Onana, Mazraoui, Maguire, De Ligt, Dalot, Dorgu, the two fullbacks, Casemiro, who's been booked, Bruno Fernandes, Xerxes Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund. The benches, Kinski, Basuma, Udogie, Gray, Johnson, Odobert, Sarr, Scarlett and Moore. So some familiar faces back for Spurs. And the Manchester United bench, other than Victor Lindelof, all kids. Harrison, the goalkeeper, Heaven, Amas, Kone, Fredrickson, Martin Obi, Fletcher and Morehouse. As Manchester United win themselves a free kick here. Bruno Fernandes whips it in toward the back post. Harry Maguire wins the first header. Maddison kind of glanced it into a dangerous area, didn't make clean enough contact, but Tottenham are able to get the second ball away, and Tell wisely holds it up, and Spurs can build from the back. Referee is Peter Banks. VAR is Paul Tierney. 1 minute gone in the second half. Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. Kulusevski has it for Spurs. Just muscles away from Dorgu. Bergvall, Porro couldn't find Kulusevski. Played it off Bruno Fernandes, who as a result has to hurtle to the byline and backheel the ball in order to keep it in play. Luckily for him, Dorgu is there to half clear.
I think that's what it was, a half clear, wasn't it, really?
De Ligt puts it out for a corner.
He's just given Dorgu a bad look, because I mean that's poor defending. I mean it looks all pretty playing 5-yard passes. That should have been up the line 30-40 yards with a bit of height in it so they can clear their lines. He's tried to be clever and he's put De Ligt in trouble, and De Ligt's had to get him out by giving away a goal kick.
Yeah, corner kick to Tottenham, first of this second half. De Ligt realised Kulusevski had kept it in play and had a run on him, so just stuck his leg out. Corner kick to Spurs. Pedro Porro to take it near right-hand side. Harry Maguire gets a very authoritative header on it. Porro again, though, on the right-hand side. Decent ball in. It nearly beats everybody. It will be teed up for Bergvall. Can't get the shot away. Tell them prods one towards goal after Danso had also tried to have a crack at it. And luckily for Onana, the shot was tame. There's just too many second balls, bouncing balls, 50-50s that Tottenham, to be perfectly honest, Paul, just look hungrier for.
Well, they certainly do, but the thing about it, now you're defending in there, you're worried about going and making a big clearance because you're worried you might just clip somebody. Someone sticks their leg in front of you, and then all of a sudden they're giving penalties for it. So players are worried about following through on anything.
Jed Spence to Son, the captain. Now Maddison again, slowing things down, 30 yards from goal. Bergvall on the edge of the area, as is Tell. Maddison, the ex-Leicester and Norwich man. Back to Davis. Danso. Pretty easy for Danso so far, hasn't had that much to do. In fact, he's probably done more attacking than defending, Danso, so far.
That tells you how much Rasmus Højlund has done, really, if that's happening.
Son tries a cross from the left-hand side, overhit, and it balloons out for a goal kick. Son, who started the season very positively, but has emphatically gone off the boil now. First 13 appearances, 5 goals, 6 assists. Last 8 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist. And even when he has chances, he's either not choosing to shoot, or he is, and with very little conviction behind it.
That's exactly how it is. I think if we're looking at, I think we're only talking a few more minutes where the managers, I think he's going to have to make a change here, just to maybe to kind of lift the fans, lift the players, just maybe give them something different, because at the moment defensively Spurs have actually got this in the bag defensively. As you mentioned in the first half, Danso has had it easy, hasn't he, really? Everything, he's under no pressure. And if you're not having a good game as a player, you've just got to make sure the person that you're up against is definitely not having a good game. If things ain't going right for you, you make sure that it's not going right for him. And the pass master at that for Manchester United as a centre forward was always Mark Hughes. always. When it wasn't, his touch was poor or anything, he'd always make it hard for people around him to play around him.
Yeah, Mark Hughes, who is now at Carlisle, taking on a job with the worst side in the Football League at the moment. Good luck to him as Tell comes down the right-hand side for Tottenham whilst we were speaking. Gets all the way to the corner flag. Doesn't get any power on the cross, though. And then Casemiro and finally Maguire gather. Don't forget, if you like shout out, you can get in contact with us via @TalkSport Live. Hello to Blaine, who is with his son, listening to the match on the way to Moses' game, hoping that a clean sheet today will be something his son can help get. Good luck to Moses in your match. Lovely looking pink kit as well that you're in the car. Lovely to see a nice little father-son moment there. Hello to Jeremy, who says that he hopes Manchester United can survive without the brilliance of Marcus Rashford. And again, if you'd like a shout-out, get in contact with us as Spurs come down the left-hand side. Jed Spence does ever so well, whips one into the area. Tell couldn't quite get there. Spence was in there too after originally putting in the first cross. Kulusevski was in quite a dangerous position too. Manchester United, though, able to survive a bit of a scare there. Kulusevski just sort of touched Spence's cross on into the path of Tell, and he couldn't quite react, Paul, and guide it on target.
He was slightly behind him as well. He's done well just to get there. If he'd got it on target, he'd have said great, but it's just that how easy they got to the byline. That was the worrying thing. It's just too easy for them. Manchester United are just not causing enough problems going forward. They're quite content to keep passing the ball backwards in their own half, but anything of any positivity is not there.
Long ball over the top for Manchester United. Real opportunity for Dalot. Hit it first time. Maybe had options over to his left. Late offside flag goes up anyway. Once again, as we said in the first half, it was route one for Manchester United. This time it was Harry Maguire. And Dalot was probably level. It would have been a tight call had he scored with Pedro Porro. Took it down well in front of him. Flag immediately went up. And Dalot hit it towards the near post. Either way, Vicario saved.
Well, the problem was the referee left his flag too late, and he's flagged just as he's shooting. He's better off not flagging, because if he was to go and score that, then we'd see it was a goal. It wouldn't have been allowed, would it?
Nope. But Dalot made maybe the wrong decision anyway in taking a shot from a tight angle. Now Rasmus Højlund briefly picks it up, but he's unable to find a teammate as again Tottenham press well and get it half clear. They're just so static, Manchester United. They're not reacting to that second ball.
No, they're not. They haven't got that. They're not instinctive when they go in there. They're just everything. They're just hoping it works out for them rather than make it happen. Football's one of those things in life that if you don't make it happen, it's never going to happen. And Manchester United are hoping it happens, and that's why they've got problems.
After this, Manchester United go away at in-form Everton and then home to Ipswich, and Tottenham are away at Ipswich next and then home to Manchester City. I mean, here's an opportunity for Garnacho. He's just got there ahead of Pedro Porro. His first shot is saved, and then he couldn't get a second shot away, and both Dorgu and Rasmus Højlund were arriving to his left, and somehow Spurs clear. Danger not over yet. Casemiro, 30 yards from goal. Short ball to Bruno Fernandes. Helps it on to Xerxes, who's wide right. Spence is policing him. Back to Dalot. Xerxes is at the near post in case an early ball comes in. Xerxes looking for options. Still doesn't want to cross it. And back he goes into central midfield. Harry Maguire, 30 yards from goal. Kulusevski pushes him back. De Ligt now has it. Now he swings a useful ball. Well, it looked useful to Bruno Fernandes, but it went over the Portuguese playmaker's shoulder, picked up in the wind, and is out for a Spurs throw.
Again, I mean, they get there. Vicario's made a good save, but it was an easy save because it was straight at him. You have to go around the goalkeeper. In the end, he hits it off his instep like he's trying to pass it to the keeper, because Porro's done great to put him under pressure as well. Doesn't allow him to strike across goal. So it was great defending in the end, but I just think Garnacho has to do better in those areas. Again, it was a lack of pace that cost him.
I think also he could have been a bit more composed with the follow-up in setting himself and realising that Rasmus Højlund was not where he instinctively thought he was. So you stop, you control it, you look up, and you've got time to pick out your man.
Yeah, you are right about that as well.
Garnacho trying to make amends, this time on the left-hand side. Porro comes quickly to him. Back it goes to Mazraoui, who slips, and there was nearly a Spurs counter-attack there. Luckily, the ball, from Manchester United's perspective, falls to Bruno Fernandes, and then Dalot plays it against Spence. It comes back off Dalot. Goal kick. Dalot doesn't agree, but it will be Spurs ball.
It looked like that to me, that it did come off of Dalot at the end, just to the direction of the ball. I might be proved wrong here. Oh, that was like a pinball wizard. I'm not really sure who that come off, I should say.
56 minutes gone. Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. James Maddison is the difference between the two sides. And as I was saying before that Garnacho chance, Ipswich against Spurs, and then Tottenham at home to Manchester City. They've got Bournemouth and Fulham, who are both in form. They've got Chelsea and a derby away from home, and then they've got Southampton and Wolves. So you feel like, were they to, I know they're winning 1-0 in this game, but were Spurs to somehow not win this game and then lose to Ipswich, with the run of fixtures that they've got, it's not a guarantee that they're going to even get 40 points.
Well, if they lose to Ipswich would have done a double over them. I mean, they're not easy games for either side then, because the sides who are fighting, sides that play with energy, and it's a big problem.
Manchester United starting to put a bit of pressure on here as the ball's whipped in from the right-hand side. It's decent. Xerxes can't get onto it. Garnacho is there. Firm effort and a brilliant save by Vicario down to his right-hand side. Why on earth Rasmus Højlund was not following up, I'll never know. Strikers should just be taking a gamble there, like Maddison did for his goal. Danso half cleared with his head. Garnacho with a firm effort. Xerxes was smart to realise he couldn't follow up because he was in an offside position. That meant it was an easy clearance for Tell, who was tracking back. But Højlund surely should have taken a gamble there.
Oh yeah, that's it. You want to become a poacher. Xerxes went in on the first one. He was quite lazy coming out. That's why he was in the offside position.
Bruno Fernandes now for Manchester United gets the ball ahead of Son. Bergvall intercepts the cross, still bobbles in the area. Dorgu, Garnacho actually did quite well originally, Garnacho, to control it, but then just ran out of space, and all he can do is knock it out for another Spurs goal kick.
I mean, Vicario, they'll talk about this maybe if it stays it is, talk about in the saves he made, but everything has been hit straight at him except for that one at his near post from Garnacho. He's gone low to his right, and he's got a good arm across as well. A really good arm.
Yeah, very good save, especially because it bounces right in front of him. Manchester United, for the first time in the game in a 10-minute spell, have had more possession than Tottenham, 56 to 44. But they give it away in central midfield here, and Son comes storming forwards and then plays the wrong ball. He was looking for Tell when the better option was Kulusevski to his right-hand side, and that will allow Bruno Fernandes to pick it up. Both Son and Fernandes have been a bit careless in possession. That's a better ball though by Fernandes. Zips it across to Dorgu from right to left to try to go first time into the path of Højlund, but Tottenham don't have to defend it because Dorgu was offside. Late flag by the assistant Edward Smart on this near side. It's another instance where if Dorgu's watching that ball, he can again wait inside his own half.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, and he pays the price.
I think we're getting to that point where the manager's got to see that he might have to change it just to add something up front, something different.
Son to Maddison, 30 yards from goal, scoops one into Tell, who brought that down quite well on his chest, but there was no real pace on the ball. It took an age to come down from chest to foot, and by the time he got a shot away, Tell was just unable to twist his body and get it on target because De Ligt was there in the way to make the block. But it will be a Spurs corner. Corner on the far left-hand side. Ben Jacobs and Paul Parker with you on Premier League Live. Tottenham's fourth corner of the game. Son to take it, Kulusevski at the near post, Bergvall right in front of Onana, Danso in front of the penalty spot. Maddison is short, it goes short to Maddison, this one off the training ground. Maddison with Son on the overlap, uses him as a decoy, fires one into the 6-yard area, is blocked by Casemiro, only as far as Son, and his shot takes the deflection and goes away again for another Tottenham corner, this time on the near right hand side. Brennan Johnson is warming up for Spurs, I just saw a moment ago, which might suggest that James Maddison's day is up. Perhaps it was pre-planned that he's only fit enough to have an hour or so. But before that substitution can happen, and we'll confirm if it is Maddison, Pedro Porro has another Spurs corner. In it comes from the right-hand side, glancing header. Initially won by Danso, half cleared by Maguire, only as far as Porro. That's a decent ball across the 6-yard area. It falls to Tell at the back post, and a very important block by Mazraoui to stop the shot coming in. Now Maddison picks it up. Spence gets away from Højlund, who slipped. Maddison, little 1-2 with Tell, who drops the shoulder and finds Son, and now it's spread out to Pedro Porro on the right-hand side. Kulusevski tries to turn De Ligt, good strength by De Ligt to stay goal side, and now he finds Fernandes, who just has to hoof it clear. It's a decent ball to Højlund, who just took too long and allowed Maddison to slide in and hand the ball straight back to Spurs.
Yeah, that's the problem with Højlund, he can't get the ball out his feet quick enough. Not very good with the ball into his feet. He's a centre forward. That should be one of his strengths.
Looks like Tottenham might be making a double change, because I can also see Pape Sarr stripped off to come on. So it looks like Brennan Johnson and Pape Sarr are both coming on. And you would think that that's James Maddison's day done, and possibly Lucas Bergvall. There is Maddison. Number 10 goes up on the board.
He just doesn't stay on Maddison. When he starts games, he never finishes them.
Sure, this one might be a bit more pre-planned, although Maddison has struggled to really influence the game in the second half, but he is the difference between the sides with a close range finish. Only player to react after Bergvall's shot was parried by Onana, and his early goal means it's Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. So Maddison off, and a welcome returnee in Brennan Johnson, and Lucas Bergvall is the other player to depart, and Pape Sarr, another important player for Tottenham this season. 2 changes for Ange Postecoglou, nothing yet as far as Manchester United are concerned. How long before Amorim has to introduce one of these kids?
I think he's got to do it between now and 70 minutes. So we're talking about, I'm giving him about, 6-7 minutes to add something, because Højlund's just not doing enough. Hopefully he'll prove me wrong in this moment.
Yeah, Rasmus Højlund gets to the ball ahead of Ben Davies on the right-hand side. Backwards he goes. Casemiro pickpocketed too easily by Son. Everyone knew there was a man on except for Casemiro, and now Tottenham have a counter-attack. Kulusevski to Johnson, the substitute. His first impact of the game on the right-hand side. Plays it off De Ligt. Tottenham corner.
The thing I would say about that with Casemiro, normally you'd hear your teammates, that ball you'd say man on time. No one said a word to him. That's how he got caught so easily by Son. So you give a ball to somebody, there's communication, even if you're making the easiest pass, time, man around, man behind you, something like that to make him aware, so his first touch might be closer to his body. And that's how they've managed to pickpocket him and get this opportunity.
Kulusevski's corner, glanced away again by De Ligt. The ball won't go out, although Johnson might be able to let it run out. He chooses not to. He's then caught by Dalot. Careless challenge right by the touchline when Johnson was going nowhere. Free kick to Spurs.
I want to say careless and needless. Absolutely. He turns to go away from goal and go up the touchline. You'd let him go that way. And he doesn't do it, Dalot. Dalot is, for me, is not a disciplined defender.
So free kick to Tottenham. It's level with the 6-yard area, all the way over on the far left-hand side. In a great position here to swing it in towards the near post, where any touch could take the ball into the back of the net. 5 Manchester United defenders in a line inside the 6-yard area. One-man Garnacho wall. Son to deliver. Ruben Amorim is praying. He's not looking. He's praying. He's looking down and saying, please do not let Spurs double their lead. Son's delivery, not the best. Kulusevski gets a touch though. And the final touch after Kulusevski just improvised to get his body to it has come off De Ligt, and it will be another Spurs corner.
It's just, I think he's there. He might be asking himself the question, what is he doing now, to be perfectly honest. That's what he's doing. And I think he's got every right to be asking that question.
Son corner in towards the near post again. Kulusevski stooped but didn't get his head onto it. Second opportunity, he gathers the ball and fires across straight at Xerxes. Now Spence loops one up down the left-hand side. Kulusevski won't quite get there. Bruno Fernandes is in the way. Now Manchester United have lost all shape at the moment. Casemiro goes long, too long. Ben Davies is going to intercept with his head. And now Spence plays a neat and deft ball to Son on the left-hand side. Back to Spence again, who scoots away from Casemiro. Tell. And Tottenham just the more composed on the ball as they slow things down on the left-hand side. Danso. Now Sarr. Jed Spence again, who spent half of last season on loan at Genoa. Bentancur to Davis. Manchester United with everyone behind the ball. 67 minutes gone on Premier League Live. Son. Everyone's had a touch here for Spurs. Teller's on the edge of the area. Spencer's on the ball at the moment. And he'll try a weak effort, which at the end of a very patient move was disappointing.
It was disappointing, but he didn't really hit that with any great conviction, to be perfectly honest. He's on his stronger side. He's a good area to go and show a bit of authority with the ball, but he didn't want to do that, Spence. To be honest, I must say, this is one of his better games I've seen him play for Spurs.
Yeah, he's looked very composed, hasn't been put under a great deal of pressure. Manchester United trying to change that now. Rasmus Højlund has it, 30 yards from goal. Infield to Xerxes, he left it when he should have controlled it and could have got a shot away. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he should just put his foot on that ball and then taken a shot on goal. And now Spurs come the other way. Brennan Johnson, nobody shutting him down, right towards the edge of the area. Lays it off to Kulusevski, skips away from a couple of challenges. Now Sarr has it on the edge of the area. Spreads it out to Son, still inside the area. Son against Mazraoui, and his cross shot deflects off Mazraoui, and it's yet again a Spurs corner. But at the other end, what was Xerxes thinking?
I don't know. It looks like, for me, he got a shout, because as soon as he's let it go and it's gone 2-3 yards in front of Fernandes, he's looked at Fernandes to like virtually say, you shouldn't have called me, because it made no sense for him to let that run unless there was a shout.
Yeah, there was loads of space if he'd got his foot to it, and suddenly, instead of potentially getting a shot away to equalise, Manchester United have to defend another Spurs corner. Son goes for an Olympico, and Onana was scrambling, and it rattles the top netting of the goal as it goes over the bar. This is what Son does, though. I referenced it in the first half. He practices an Olympico, knowing that if it goes all the way, you might score, and if it doesn't go all the way, any touch and somebody can turn it in, and it wasn't a bad effort.
Given if he's going to keep doing that, he could be asked to play for Arsenal. The way they go with their corners.
Manchester United give it away from the goal kick, and it's worked into Brennan Johnson, who will lay it off to Kulusevski. Kulusevski on the edge of the area, feeds Porro. Porro offside.
No,
and
he's just given a foul.
A foul
he's
as well.
And it wasn't a foul, to be honest. He's just thrown himself to the floor. The assistant referee's given it. I don't normally flag, to be perfectly honest. I don't know why they're there for, but it wasn't a foul.
Yeah, Mazraoui getting a little bit lucky there. I think Porro probably was offside as well, but either way, there's Rasmus Højlund at the other end, putting a bit of pressure on Danso as United go long along the ground, looking to feed Højlund directly, but Danso was able to clean up. And now Spence has it for Tottenham. I mean, Manchester United's best spell was midway through the first half.
Yes.
And since then, can't think of much that they've done not just in terms of chances, but to control the possession.
They've done nothing. They haven't done enough, really, to come out of this game saying they should have got something at this moment in time.
But is it set up for one of these academy kids to come on and change that? Well, no sign of a substitution on 70 minutes yet. You sort of sense, don't you, that Amarim's the kind of manager, like when he played Kobbie Mainoo as a striker a few weeks ago, that just might be prepared to make a statement and say, I'll leave this 11 on for the full 90. He's that kind of manager. As Dalot has it. We'll get Paul's thoughts in a moment. Back to Mazraoui. That's a decent cross. Xerxes free header. Should have buried it, and he knows it as he runs up to the right-hand post and bangs his head against it. It was the first real bit of quality in the second half from Manchester United. It came on the right-hand side, cross-whipped in, Xerxes onside, Ben Davies ball watching, and all he had to do was glance it deftly on target. Vicario was beaten, and Xerxes 2 yards wide, and it stays at Spurs 1, Manchester United 0.
Maybe if he'd have missed it, Højlund was there, mate, just behind him as well.
Golden opportunity as Casemiro feeds Garnacho, back to Casemiro again. Højlund just inside the area, on his right foot, and it is straight at Vicario without enough power to seriously test the Spurs keeper, who is 20 minutes away from a clean sheet, and a rare clean sheet for Tottenham, which would somewhat sum up the toothless nature of this Manchester United attack. 72 minutes gone, Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. The only away goals in the Premier League this season. Ahmad 3, injured. Lisandro Martinez 2, injured. Marcus Rashford 2, now on loan at Aston Villa. Casemiro, De Ligt, Fernandes, Garnacho 1. So not many players at the football club, Paul, that have scored in the Premier League on the road this season.
It's been a season of non-events in front of, a lot of non-events in front of goal for Manchester United.
But they are just starting to get a bit more of the ball now. Casemiro will play a diagonal ball out to the right-hand side. Dalot,
put it in the box.
Bruno Fernandes on the edge of the area, whipped in towards the back post. Garnacho will pick it up. It was a bit too strong, the cross, but Garnacho's still inside the Spurs area, and he's happy to fire it against two players, including Brennan Johnson, and win his side. An easy corner, and maybe a set piece is the best way of Manchester United unlocking this Spurs defence.
And that's why I'm surprised. They get in wide areas. I don't know why they just don't put the ball in the box. They seem to want to do all this little intricate passing in front of it. They've just not been good enough.
Bruno Fernandes' corner in towards the near post. There's about 3 players on the ground, including Maguire. Either way, the ball wasn't nearly good enough. It didn't beat the first man. Picked up again by Bruno Fernandes. Dorgu towards the back post. That's dangerous. Brought down by Casemiro. He's pushed surely by Jed Spence there. The referee, Peter Banks, says no. He had a really good view. Jed Spence definitely took a risk there. Paul Parker, penalty or no penalty?
It's a foul outside the box. They will not give that as a penalty, something like that.
Xerxes now skips away from Bentancur. Danso slides in, didn't get enough on it, but luckily for him, Ben Davies was there to mop up ahead of Rasmus Højlund. And now Spurs bring it away in central midfield. VAR will, of course, have a look. It was just such an obvious movement by Spence, though.
Oh, it was, but they're just not going to give that in the box.
And now here's Brennan Johnson for Spurs. Oh, Harry Maguire doesn't get there first, and Son will tee it up here, and the shot comes in from Tell, and it's a simple save to his right for Annan.
Harry Maguire moved there in instalments, didn't he?
Just lost his balance.
He just couldn't move for it. There was no agility at all there to get that ball. He's got his head down as well. And he's got every right that his head should be down, because that was so disappointing. And I keep looking at that, and generally that's a foul outside the box without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I think Casemiro can feel very unlucky. And of course, a referee and VAR will only look at that incident, but in real time, you sort of sense when you get a player like Casemiro and you know how easily he goes down at times. Is that kind of in the referee's head at all?
Well, it should be, given it, but some of them works as it doesn't work that way. But Casemiro, it's not. There's a lot of players who we know who do go down too easy. You think the referees would know, but I don't think they do really.
I tell you something, if that's given on the field, I don't think VAR are overturning it. Archie Gray is stripped off as well. We wait and see who he comes on for because he can play in about 100 positions.
I think you're exaggerating there, but I understand where you're coming from.
Son skips away from his man, comes down the left-hand side, right to the edge of the area, Son. I mean, I would have thought that Gray will be used at centre-back to add cover, and maybe Danso will be the player of choice to come off.
I can see Son coming off.
What, and then him using Gray in central midfield?
Maybe doing that, yeah. Like you say, he's got a few string to his bow.
I mean, anyone other than Vicario could be coming off.
Yeah.
Archie Gray is basically what we're saying. My prediction is Danso, because he has been playing more recently at centre-back, but Son may make sense as well. It's a long time, though, to sit back on a 1-0 lead, isn't it? 15 minutes plus added time, Paul, to make that kind of defensive change when Son is quite a useful outlet.
Yeah. Okay, I might have made a mistake, Ben. Stop having a go at me.
I was having a go at you.
You gave me that dirty look there as well.
I was just giving you a theory.
I don't know if I want to work with you again. I'm getting quite emotional now that you're saying something like that about me.
Well, I'm telling you.
Publicly as well, Ben. Publicly.
The irony is that our American audience will think you're being deadly serious because they do not understand dry British humour. So they'll think we don't like each other. And then if we're not on a game in the next few weeks...
Oh, it's headlines. Headlines. Saying that, I've always wanted headlines in America. The right headlines, of course.
Right, there's a double change here, so we'll find out who's right. Who's going off, Paul?
All right, Danso's going off. Danso, you can have that. I told you can have it.
Kevin Danso off, Archie Gray on, but it is actually a double change as Bentancur is going to be replaced by Yves Bissouma, and that is more of a like-for-like swap. I mean, actually, Bissouma can also play in defence too, so we wait and see who is going to be centre-back, but I think because of how the numbers went up, it's more likely that Gray is centre-back and Bissouma is a like-for-like swap for Bentancur. Whilst we were arguing about headlines, by the way, Spurs have won a corner on this near right-hand side, so there's defending for Manchester United to do with 12 minutes to go. It's pinged in towards the edge of the area, and the first opportunity there for Yves Bissouma off the training ground. His shot on the volley was a bit scuffed. It bounced to the left-hand side. Brennan Johnson fell to the ground. Half-hearted appeals for a penalty. Now Kulusevski has it. He lays it off to Son on the right-hand side. Back to Kulusevski. Fired in. Tame effort. Onana saves. Kulusevski could have picked his spot there, gone for power, and instead he sort of just half-heartedly hit it straight at Onana. And now Manchester United come the other way. Hoyland was fouled. Good advantage played by the referee Peter Banks. Dorgu works it forwards to Rasmus Hoyland, and Jed Spencer's back to block his shot from the edge of the 6-yard area, and now it's a Manchester United corner, and suddenly it is wild and end-to-end.
Yeah, it's gone to that mode again, isn't it, really, when you look at the other end. They had a great opportunity. I mean, again, it goes to Onana, and his actual palm out is straight in front as well. It's not the best, but he gets cleared by De Ligt, again on by Harry Maguire, and United go and attack the other end. It was a laboured counter-attack, but they managed to get a corner from it.
In it comes the corner, right under the bar of Vicario, who steps back and punches it half clear. De Ligt picks it up, decent ball. Casemiro at the back post, tried to just cut back the ball with his head, didn't get quite enough power on it. Spurs half clear, and now it's looped in by Bruno Fernandes into no man's land and out for a goal kick. In the build-up, by the way, to that Manchester United counter-attack, the advantage for the foul on Hoyland was due to Davis, and he's got a booking for that, and I think rightly so, as he tried to stop the counter-attack and just hack down Hoyland. It was a good advantage played by the officials.
It was.
Ben Davis goes into the book, but it is a goal kick to Tottenham, who can start to wind down the clock a bit. 10 minutes plus added time, and still no sign of any kind of Manchester United substitution.
No, he's trying his best. He's trying his best not to do it. He's hoping the players can do something. That's my way of thinking. But given how it is at this moment, I think he's got to gamble. Are we agreeing that then, Ben? Yeah, we're okay. Yeah, we're together again. Yeah,
we're back on the same page.
Right. Okay.
But also, I mean, I understand that this is the bench available to them. He's got no choice, but it doesn't send an amazing message to your academy, 1-0 down with a bunch of attacking options on the bench, to say, I'd rather just stick with what I've got. We'll get Paul's thoughts on that in a moment, but here comes Spurs on a counter-attack. Tell finds Brennan Johnson. Dorgu got back, got just about enough to stop the counter-attack for now, but Kulusevski picks it up. His cut back towards the penalty spot. Son was too static, and Maguire will pass it away, and Brennan Johnson is down with a head injury, so that just gives us a little bit of a respite to just come back to that point about substitutions. You know, I know Amorim's not there just to give kids a chance for the sake of giving them a chance, but if they're good enough to be on the bench and you're 1-0 down, surely you have to just throw caution to the wind.
You are right, Ben. You're 100% right. It does, in a way, send out the wrong message, really. You're virtually saying you can't trust them enough. Just one of them going on could make a big difference. Add that extra bit of pace and something different. We've seen Spurs put 3 on in a European competition, and it virtually gets them over the line in that game against Effenberg. So,
I mean, you've got 2 fullbacks, so you could take a fullback off. You could go to a back 4.
I'm looking more as I'm putting on a centre forward rather than defensively.
I mean, I would say you take off maybe a fullback, you bring on a striker, you go to a back 4, you've got one more up top. As here's Bruno Fernandes out to Dorgu, not the best cross, he slices it straight out of play. Goal kick to Tottenham, and that's where you think you've got Chido Obi in particular, a natural goal scorer, confident, maybe not fazed by the occasion, nothing to lose, and maybe he'll do that. I mean, we've still got probably the best part of 10-12 minutes to go in the game. Other option is Harry Maguire's just told, get up front.
Yeah, but then you end up just knocking balls in and just lumping. I mean, you know, he can't. He's only going at there because he's big, not because he's got agility, he can do stuff. So I'd look at it, you'd bring something off the bench than that.
Nice touch by Xerxes to Bruno Fernandes, who was fouled. Play continued because Garnacho picks the ball up and he gets a cross in, and it's played towards the back post, and it's an air swing by Xerxes. Can't get any contact. It was quite a high ball towards him, but he took his eyes off it, and as a consequence the chance goes a-begging, and in the end Manchester United would have probably preferred to have the free kick when Bruno Fernandes was fouled.
To be honest, I don't know. To be honest with Bruno, I don't know if he went down because he was well, he's looking for a foul. I would have said more chance. It actually was a foul. And he's been poor today, hasn't he, Fernandes? Very, very poor. You look for him in these kind of games and he's not there.
Long ball over the top by Manchester United to Dalot. He's shut down by Spence, but he has won his side a corner. So a chance for Harry Maguire and De Ligt to come forwards. I think the officials signalled that Bruno Fernandes had won the free kick, but they were right to let it run on because Garnacho had the ball in the box. 7 minutes plus injury time to go on Premier League Live. Ben Jacobs and Paul Parker with you. We are friends, really, I can promise you that. Corner on the far right-hand side. Bruno Fernandes to whip it in. De Ligt wins a little piece. The header, it bobbles around. Casemiro tries a swing shot with his back to goal. Didn't make clean enough contact. Too many players in the way, including Archie Gray. And Manchester United have to settle for a throw-in on the near left-hand side, which is taken quickly to Dorgu, who gets to the byline. Again, the ball doesn't beat the first man. And Tottenham have a counter-attack. Son, Tell, not much support yet for Tell. He's up against Dalot. Kulusevski's in space on the right-hand side. Tell's trying to find him, and the angle was all wrong, and Garnacho tracked back to make an important interception.
It took too long there. Son had the ball for far too long.
Tottenham, though, looking dangerous on the counter-attack, but dropping deeper and deeper and inviting a wave of Manchester United pressure in this last 5 minutes or so. Manchester United would take a point, given how they've played so far. They would take the opportunity to come away with something. They haven't really deserved it, but Tottenham haven't found a way to get that killer second either. Wilson Odobert is stripped off and ready to come on for Spurs. Still no sign of a Manchester United change.
And we all know there would have been a change. Every game he's done it. Normally it's a centre-half and at centre-forward he takes off. That's what he always does, and he just hasn't done it.
But he hasn't tactically changed even with the 11 on here. Like, why wouldn't you push Bruno Fernandes further forwards? We've just sort of seen them gamble on this, I suppose, belief that Spurs can be Spursy at times. As Wilson Odobert will come on, another welcome returnee from injury, and off goes Son.
See, I told you he was coming off.
Yeah, and you were quite right. I will give you that. 50 touches for Son, but most of them in reasonably harmless wide areas.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the player of what we saw before, but he's still got that there. He's got that fear factor about him. He frightens teams. You don't want to be caught one-on-one with him.
And of course, if Ruben Amorim makes a change now, Paul, it's a big ask, isn't it, for a youngster to just get a few minutes, no time to bed into the game.
Yeah.
It becomes a bit tokenistic at this point. I suppose some would say it's a final throw of the dice. It just doesn't look like Amorim's going to do anything.
No.
Which is worrying, because if they play the next game and the next game and this is still their bench.
But then you've said it. You said is in the end, is he decided that this lot, you got us in this position, you're going to have to get us out of it. Is it that one, which you actually alluded to?
87 minutes on the clock, so 3 minutes plus added time. And Xerxes, who had the best chance for Manchester United, putting a glancing header wide. Bruno Fernandes, firm challenge by Sarr, but Manchester United keep the possession going. Xerxes on the halfway line spins into trouble, and now Tottenham come away with it. An opportunity for Spence to break down the left-hand side, plays a little give and go with the substitute Odobert. Maguire very strong.
He ended up fighting with himself there, didn't he? Odebert's just kind of gone, go on, you get on with it. He was just virtually shepherding the ball out with no one around him.
Maguire did well, but it was an angry kind of challenge.
Yeah, exactly right, it was.
Goal kick to Manchester United, though, and time is ticking away. 88 minutes on the clock. Manchester United go route one. Poor clearance by Spence, picked up by Højlund, 30 yards from goal. Diagonal ball out to the right-hand side and Dalot. Højlund goes down the right-hand side again, gets there ahead of Spence. Good defending, though, by Pape Sarr to get in front of Højlund, but he does have to concede a corner. And Manchester United knocking on the door here. Can they find that killer set-piece delivery? 88 minutes on the clock. Dalot and Odobert standing right on the 6-yard area line. Bruno Fernandes whips it in. Casemiro with the header. It's on target. It was dipping just under the bar. Not really enough ferocity on it, though, or direction to seriously challenge Vicario. And really all the Spurs goalkeeper had to do in the end was take one step back and make a clean catch.
He's made one save today where he's actually had to really stretch for it, and that was one from Garnacho to his right-hand side. That's all he's had to do. Everything's been straight at him.
Oh, Tottenham come down the left-hand side here. Odobert shrugs off his man, feeds in Tell. His shot's blocked by De Ligt. Onana wanted to come and get that, but De Ligt just deciding he had enough time to clear it himself. And then there's a slip from Bruno Fernandes. Xerxes also loses out. Odobert just sauntering through, finds Tell, and his cross shot is intercepted by Onana. And once again, Manchester United terrible with the basics, and that also includes Onana, who bowls the ball out here, and it's going to be a booking for Dorgu, but that was really all just purely about Onana and a terrible ball out, and it forced Dorgu to clatter to the ground Brennan Johnson. And a yellow card for Dorgu.
I'm just wondering, was it intentional by Dorgu because he knew he was caught out by it?
In fact, it was Porro, by the way, fouled, not Brennan Johnson. Yellow card for Dorgu. Now, we're going to see a substitution here for Manchester United. And on comes Chido Obi, the 17-year-old Dane, who's also eligible, by the way, to play for England as well, but has picked Denmark for now. And on comes the striker for Casemiro, and he'll have 3 minutes to try and make an impact. So a special moment for him, but maybe too little too late. Tottenham free kick they're just going to take it short. Ooh. There's only 3 minutes of added time. It's worked into Porro. It's fired across the 6-yard area. It's half-hacked clear by Mazraoui, only as far as Porro once again. It bobbles around in the area, and then Ben Davies' shot is deflected, I think, off Obi, the substitute, and out for a corner. But that'll do for Spurs because it's taken up a minute of this 3 minutes of added time.
No, that's exactly right. They're just defending's just really, really poor. And how they ended up in that circumstance, I just don't understand it, really.
Spurs corner, their 10th of the game. It goes short. There's 2 minutes of injury time remaining. And Bruno Fernandes able to win a throw-in off Kulusevski. Manchester United in a hurry. Terrible throw-in, though, by Bruno Fernandes. And it was straight to Basuma, who couldn't quite find Tell. Xerxes tracking back well. He was unaware that Tell was chasing him. Luckily for Xerxes, he's able to rescue it. And now Dalot plays an awful ball into central midfield. Xerxes somehow picks it up, though. Goes long down the left-hand side. It's another dreadful ball. How many times in the last 3 minutes, Paul, have we used the word poor, dreadful, abysmal?
It's just poor execution, poor decisions in that little stint there. That's what it was. Everything was just that. It was terrible.
1 minute for Spurs to hang on. Manchester United need to find a bit of quality, and they just haven't. And this has been quite routine for Spurs. I think if we'd have said 1-0 to the Spurs at the beginning with a clean sheet for the hosts, you'd have said no way, wouldn't you?
Anybody's doing this game. You are. Oh no, he's
long ball forwards here, and Tell nearly able to get there ahead of Onana. Manchester United goalkeeper quickly off his line. Long ball forwards, but again, there's Tottenham players there. Who's your man of the match, Paul?
Wow. To pick out an individual, you being serious?
I mean, you have to award one.
I would have to go maybe Spence then.
Yeah, 6 duels won, 8 final third entries, 22 sprints, 2 successful dribbles. It's a good choice.
Yeah, I know, but when you look at it from a football point of view, it's not really great, is it? That tells you a little bit about these two teams, really.
3 minutes of added time are up, and Manchester United have the ball at the back. Referee Peter Banks looks at his watch, and he blows up for a big Spurs win, one that alleviates some pressure on Ange Postecoglou. A rare clean sheet as well. The early James Maddison goal, the difference between the sides. Paul Parker, final thoughts?
Well, it was just, again, another disappointing performance by Manchester United. None of them can walk away with their heads held up, believing they've done OK.
To tap home. Manchester United, though, will rue missed opportunities. Garnacho had multiple chances to equalise. The one he should have buried in the first half, he blazed it over the bar. He also forced Vicario into a good save in the second half as well. And Xerxes on the stretch sent a header narrowly wide. The biggest concern for United will be the health of the squad. 8 teenagers on the bench today. Amorim only making the one change in the game. For Tottenham, it's a first Premier League home win since November. Oh, how Ange Postecoglou needed that result. It wasn't great, it wasn't pretty, but it finished Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0.
Well, that was a bench so young, it looked like it was about to embark on a half-term holiday camp, and it took till right to the very end for Ruben Amorim to even turn to that. The truth of the matter is that Manchester United, with depleted resources, did compete in this game, but they missed big chances, and it's the same old tale. At the beginning of the season, I remember saying they don't score enough goals, this team. They didn't score enough goals 2 years ago when they got in the Champions League. They didn't score enough goals last season, and they don't score enough goals this season either. They missed too many big chances, Scott.
Absolutely. You know, they've scored just 28 league goals now, and that's the fewest they've scored in the Premier League era. You know, this is we've got to forget about what happened with Sir Alex Ferguson for now anyway, and just think about steps. I mean, Ruben Amorim, he probably didn't want to come at this particular time. We know he didn't. He wanted to come at the end of the season. But you look at the team that he had out, and especially the bench. Ange Postecoglou made 5 substitutes within the 90 minutes, and Ruben Amorim didn't make one. He ended up putting on Chido Obi in the 91st minute for Casemiro, and there could be arguments, well, he could have done that a little bit earlier, and there could even have been arguments that, well, do you know what, if it's staying 1-0, then why not put on a couple of those kids and see what can happen? But they were chasing that goal down, and, you know, Pards even said, didn't he, that he thought there could be an equaliser. But this is another bad day for United for sure. Again, I go back to, ultimately it is about the players. I mean, recruitment has not been good enough, and it's a turning round the Titanic that United have, not just in this summer but over the next few years. But we've been saying that for a very long time. But these players, and especially Alejandro Garnacho, look, he's a really good player and he never gave up, and the whole of United players, and whether you say they're not good enough or they're just lacking in confidence and not playing well at the moment, they never gave up, and that's one positive that didn't come out from it. But still, Manchester United are 15th in the Premier League. I mean, that is just not good enough, and it is all about the cups, isn't it? For Spurs, it's all about the Europa League. For Manchester United, it's the Europa League and the FA Cup as well. But my goodness me, Ruben Amorim must be looking and thinking, how do I turn this around? I played everybody who's pretty much fit and who's not a teenager. There's only one person who wasn't a teenager on the bench. It's going to be dark days ahead before it gets better. But as long as he's got a plan, as long as he's speaking to, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the owners and saying, look, I know what's wrong, I know I can fix it, please help me do that, and you watch in another year or so. But he talked about suffering. Well, United fans are suffering for sure, and they're going to be suffering for a period longer.
You look at that table, there's 2 Premier Leagues in 2024-25. It's the Premier League table that runs from 1st to 16th, and there is the Premier League table that runs 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th. The fact is that one of those 4 teams is going to stay up at the bottom of the table. Everybody else is contesting for something else, But right now, Manchester United are the second worst team out of those teams that are definitely going to be playing Premier League football next season. That is a major concern, doesn't matter who you are. And look, Tottenham aren't in a great place. There are protests before the game. There's a big banner opposite us right now which says, our game is about glory, Levy's game is about greed. They're not happy with the chairman. He would dispute the fact and say he put loads of money into this club, he's built this great stadium, the training ground and whatever. But both these 2 clubs are in a similar sort of vein, that football hasn't been the priority for too long.
Well, I think football hasn't been the priority. It's almost Tottenham Hotspur Entertainment Limited Corporation, or whatever you want to say. And do you know what? He's a brilliant businessman, Daniel Levy. I think his remit is to do really well with the spreadsheets, and he's absolutely doing that. If his remit was to win trophies, I think he would turn it around. Look, they have spent money, but the wages to the type of money they're being spent, they're not bringing in the top players, they're bringing in potential. And that's something which needs to turn around in the summer. I think Dominic Solanke's a really good buy. I think the 2 centre-halves are good buys as well, but they're injured, so there's a problem with the depth of the squad. With Manchester United, I don't think it's that necessarily they've been not thinking of the football. It's been willy-nilly spraying the cash, spending unbelievable amounts of money in transfer fees and wages, and therefore things don't go well. Then it's down to the wages. There's a problem to getting the players off. Different type of problems, but similar situations for both these clubs. And yet, for either one of them, it could end brilliant with winning the Europa League, a major trophy, and also qualifying for the Champions League for next season. Wow, if one of them do that, then it's a game changer. Yeah, but it also could be that neither of them end up doing that as well. There's a long way to go in that competition, and both of them don't look in particularly great form at this moment in time. Been a big day today in the WSL. Victories for Manchester United, for Arsenal, for Chelsea, for Leicester and for West Ham United. In the Premier League, big day for Liverpool. They beat Wolves by 2-1. Difficult second half. They play live on TalkSport Wednesday night against Aston Villa. And Tottenham Hotspur beat Manchester United by 1-0. React to it all with Alan Pardew and Majestic. They are coming up next.
All games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In NASCAR, starting at 1:30 p.m., catch full coverage of the Daytona 500 on SiriusXM and Internet Channels 90. In Serie A, 2:45 p.m., Juventus takes on Inter Milan on SiriusXM and Internet Channels 157. On the PGA Tour, at 1 p.m., catch full coverage of the Genesis Invitational on SiriusXM and Internet Channels 92. In NCAA College Men's Basketball, noon, Wichita State faces Memphis on Sirius XM and Internet Channels 83. 1 p.m., Ohio State faces Michigan. Ohio State on XM and Internet 372. Michigan on XM 391, Internet 981. National feed on Internet 983.
Mad Dog Sports Radio has the best sports talk in the business, covering sports with a passion and knowledge you need.